well.
Tiger Eye.
Naser, we're live,
What's
bro.
up?
We're live, bro. How you guys doing, man?
Behave yourself. Good, bro.
Doing great.
How you guys doing? Welcome to this session, the third episode of Tales Before, which the concept is that we're gonna have a friendly debate and talk about the main topic, which today's topic is the whole musicians and the music scene, the whole rock and metal scene in Dubai. So I want to welcome on board my dear friends, which two of them are band members of Winterburn, Naser Mestarihi and Vivian de Souza. Welcome, guys, and we got in the house one of the most old school promoters that I know in this scene, Nick Uzi. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you guys feeling, man? How's everything?
Thank you so much. I don't know, I'm feeling good. We're all good, man.
Pretty good, man.
So,
All good. I just came back from a run, so I was like rushing. I was like, shit, I have 10 minutes to make it home. I was like running, and my dog was like dying and choking. I was trying to get it.
Oh, man. That's all good, man. So I want to welcome whoever has joined us. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. It means the world to us. Can you please do me a favor and share this content with your friends? Share it on your timeline. Let them know about the page. Let's grow this community together so we can create more content for you guys. So if you guys have any questions for our guests or for the show itself, you guys just put it in the comment section where you guys want to talk and engage in the whole conversation. Please feel free and join us in the comment section. So guys, let's cut to the chase. Let's not waste any more time. You guys can hear me, yeah? Can you guys mic check?
Yeah.
Loud and
Yeah,
clear.
you can hear
What
my
the hell
son
was that?
dancing in the background.
Oh yeah, thank you very much for whoever commented to reduce the music. I completely forgot. It's been a while, bro. It's been a while. So okay, here you go. The music is lower. Sorry about that, guys. Adnan, what's up, Adnan? Adnan is in the house. Thank you very much for joining, Adnan, man.
Yo.
What's up, man? So yeah, it's been a while for me because I took a break as well, and just trying to get stuff back, and my brain is somewhere else. So anyway, man, let's cut to the chase, man. How's everything with you guys? What you guys been up to? And who wants to go first and tell us about, what is your takes on this, this topic of this show, which is about the musicians and the rock and metal scene of Dubai, in a very brief way. What about you? You know what? I'll keep Naser for the end. Naser, hold your horses. We'll go with Viv.
I think it's best I go at the end because I think most of the stuff I'll say Nasser will say anyway. So
You know what? Okay, you know what? Let's kick it off. Naser, briefly, tell us what you think about this topic. Is there some, is it a genuine problem, or is just something that it just exists? It's just a shallow thing that some people are not looking deep into it, or there is a serious problem?
What was the question from the top?
The whole topic
What is a problem?
the music, the musicians and the music scene, the rock and metal scene of Dubai.
Where do you want me to start? With the musicians or the performers?
Whatever, man. It's an open question.
Promoters.
Where is your problem? Is it with the promoters, or is it with the musicians themselves? Give us a brief, because during the episode we're gonna dive into it more, because a lot of other things are gonna come up. So tell us what you think.
I think it's a combination of problems. There's a weird. So I'm older than. Well, I've been playing music for a long time, so I know Nikhil from almost a decade ago. Okay, and the older bands are close friends of mine. So Rami from Nursel is my hometown childhood friend. So is Rajah. So I feel like there was two eras in the music scene. There was one era in which there was this camaraderie, musicians were cool together, everybody was supportive of each other. It was all about having fun and a good time. And now, and I think this is a generational thing too, because I noticed that it's more prevalent in our, sorry, someone's mic went on.
sorry,
It's more prevalent
that was me. I put up my phone and I think it kind of the volume came out from the phone.
Yeah, it's cool. So you were
That's
saying,
all right.
It's okay.
I was saying it's more prevalent in our region than in other places, but I just feel like there's competition and rivalry is good, man. But like if it's healthy friends competing, like me and some of my like close friends who play guitar, not in the Dubai music scene, but like let's say in England or in Los Angeles, we compete all the time about like who can shred the fastest, who can do this, like who can do. We show off, like we throw licks at each other, we play challenges or whatever, you know, whenever we hang out. But it's not like in an undermining or condescending way. It's more of in a like a friendly, like I talked to my friend Danny about we were supposed to do a tour in England. And I said to him, one of the things I envisaged was bringing him on stage with us and we'd cover a Malmsteen song, I'll See the Light Tonight, and then bring him on and do like a duo, me and him. And it's like a friendly thing. That doesn't exist. It went from friendly competition and rivalry to like really petty shit. I will dive deeper into it later on, but there is actual petty shit in the scene. Whereas it's become like, man, there's animosity between people. Now, I never had an issue with anybody in the scene, but unfortunately, issues started to stem out of me being honest and open and saying how I felt about certain things out of disappointment. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just with musicians. Promoters, I'm not gonna like shoot or stab anyone in the back. Like everybody has this quarrels with promoters. There's like, you know, common issues that we have, whether it's money and all of that stuff. Some of it you have to be pragmatic and realistic because there's not a lot of money being made anyways, even for the promoter themselves. They barely survive, some of them, you know? And this is their bread and butter. But like there's unprofessionalism and lack of courtesy and just like bullshit, you know, pettiness, like really adolescent type of behavior that we've experienced as a band. We had one incident which I don't know if you're aware of, but Vivian knows about it and quite a few musicians know about it, where a promoter basically reneged on something that we agreed on like 4 days before a show. And I was very respectful in my response to this. And because the promoter didn't like it, they called their friend who's in the industry, who's in charge of something that affects our band, and basically caused a little bit of a problem for us, which got resolved eventually because I had to call someone superior to that person. But I mean, like, it's like their tentacles are all in the scene, this clique and all of that shit. I genuinely, I personally, because I'm half Desi, half Arab, I personally feel like there's a racial thing. I feel it. I said this to Vivian. I've always felt there's like an Arab versus the Desis or the brown Asian, South Asian, Far East Asian community. I feel it. I feel like there's a ridiculous superiority complex. I've always said it to Vivian. And I get this vibe when I hang out with certain people. And I'm Arab, right? So I also know like the dynamics of how Arabs behave amongst each other, right? But like it stems from a lot of shit. Like there's favoritism, there's cronyism. I mean, it exists. Okay. We can't deny it. So,
yeah. So I mean, that's good. I mean, because
those are the issues. But we've surpassed this shit. This shit was a problem like 2-3 years ago. But for Vivian and I and our band, we're like, you know what? We're not gonna dwell on this shit. We move on. We do our own thing now. We make our own way in the music scene. You know, we don't need to like pander to anyone or whatever.
Which is everyone now is just going into that thing, and like everyone does it at their own way. So Viv, what is your take on the whole topic? Just like in a brief way, if you can just like pinpoint the fundamental factors into this whole thing.
Okay, I mean, look, I haven't been in the scene too long. Okay, like I think I joined the scene somewhere around 2015. Naser, Nick, and all you guys have been here way longer than I have. So you've seen where the scene was and how it grew and all that stuff. But again, for me coming in at that time, I always felt like the newcomer, the outsider, and I always had this perspective that I was looking at things from the outside and trying to understand what the fuck is going on over here. But yeah, I dude, like throughout the years, there have been instances, and there have been a certain chain of events that happen, which, to be honest, like Naser said, it was something to do with either a band or a promoter showing some kind of favoritism or some kind of bias towards their friends, which in turn kind of like fucks over the other bands that are in the scene. Personally speaking, Look, I haven't really experienced these things firsthand. I'm lucky enough to say that whoever I've met in the scene, all the guys I've hung out with, they've been really nice. They've been really good to me. I mean, I've never directly experienced this kind of shit, but yeah, being a part of a band with Nasser and other bands as well, because I have been in a few other bands over here. Um, there was this whole thing about, again, the whole race thing as well. I felt that, I mean, only a certain group of people were the cool people, and the rest of the guys never really got a chance to, or even got a platform to do anything. Um, yeah, I mean, this is how I felt. I'm not sure if this happens now as well, because, well, there's not really a scene left for all of this to happen now. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think, dude.
That's good.
Vivian is like too diplomatic, like, for this, man.
I mean,
Because I don't give a shit. I have nothing to lose. I'm not gonna burn bridges, but I'm not gonna lie either, and, like,
well,
kiss anybody's ass.
it's not about burning bridges or anything. We are here to address the elephant in the room, and that elephant is that there is a problem that everyone knows about it, which, surprisingly, that everyone preach about it, but the actions are not a par with the whole speech, which
That's a funny thing you said there, by the way, if I can cut you off for 1 second. You said everyone preaches about it, but, like, that's the funny thing. I noticed that a lot of people that talk about and address these problems and sit and lament about it are sometimes people who are guilty of perpetuating it.
Okay. I mean, which to some extent, yes. I mean, I will not put myself out of the whole equation. We all of us, we were because. Oh, okay. Okay. Before jumping to Nick, because Nick is waiting for his thing, I just want to.
No. I want to hear all of you out, and because being a promoter and a musician,
Yep.
I have things to say from both sides. So I would rather hear everybody out, because I've also known Nasser for a while. I've known Vivian for a while. I mean, I myself have been on the scene from 2003. So, I've seen how it has changed. So I would rather hear all of you out. And I would say I'll try my best to give you a very non-biased, as non-diplomatic as possible, because everything is sensitive. You don't want to be misunderstood by somebody when your intent is not that. So I would rather wait, hear everybody out, and then put my perspective in front. So the stage is all yours.
No worries. So I'll just want to give a shout out to whoever's still watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And someone is asking what we're talking about. It's about the musicians and the whole the whole music scene, the rock and metal music scene, the musicians and the promoters in Dubai. We're talking about that. And I just want to give a quick shout out to we got if anyone,
Sorry.
yeah, you guys need to mute that, bruh. So just want to give a shout out to some of the people like Salman, Vineet, Adnan, Michael Badger is in the house. Thank you guys very much. Errol is in the house. Thank you guys very much for joining us in. And Peter is saying waiting for Nikhil to speak. So before jumping to that, I just want to say something regarding what Naser mentioned. Is like, yes, to some extent, every one of us has to be blamed, because, for example, when I saw that problem, yeah, like when I saw it with both my eyes, if I was talking about it, I was that one guy that they always push me around and tell me that you are only seeing it this way. The problem is here that people don't want to state the obvious when there is a problem, because they're happy with whatever they have, because they're part of that whatever, that cultish or that circle of that inner circle stuff that happens, and they're controlling or whatever, if they exist. They're part of that, and they're happy with whatever they have. That's why they don't bother talking about it. And that's why I say, it might be a problem that it existed, or it's just been there and no one wanted to talk about it. So, Nick, it's your turn now. What's like in a brief, what you think about the whole thing? Give us insight.
See, I cannot. It's a very detailed conversation. I don't think I'll be able to finish it off so easily. But
Okay.
all I can tell you is, I can just tell you what I've experienced from the time I landed in this country, and it's not just about this country. In every country, there's always this thing which is like the cool lot, the non-cool lot, the guys who are like, hey, that band is like got a wannabe following. These guys are cool because they hang out with the cool dudes. So that is something that is going to exist anywhere and everywhere around the world. You cannot deny that, because without the gossip and the bitching, no scene is fun. I mean, that you can't have like the perfect scene. You'll always have the bitching. You'll always have the gossip. And that is what is going to excite people. Like you can see back in my country right now, the country's drowning in the GDP. We are 29.3, but everybody's interested in what a Bollywood starlet is doing and which Bollywood starlet died and the drug issue, and the half the country is smoking ganja and weed, but suddenly the morality of stuff has come out. So it's just that gossiping and bitching adds to the fun of any scene.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously one should know which is when to stop. So as a musician, when I came in here in 2003, it was a very interesting scene. It was still very DIY. I could see mostly a lot of kids in American University of Dubai. Most of them were European kids who had villas with basements. And obviously, because they had basements, they could host a lot of gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were obviously the cool kids. Most of these were cool kids, I would say. So I met a few of them, and one of my first gigs was at AUD on the grounds, organized by Adham Ghanem, who used to organize this thing called the Assembly. And I think we were one of the few brown bands that kind of played one of those shows, and one of the oldest probably, because everybody else was like these kids who were just getting into puberty, and they were just going nuts. But it was fun to watch that because there was no animosity. It was just about friends in college having a good time. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing of that sort really happening. Plus, I also feel there was not much corporate indulgence at that point. There was not like a Red Bull involved. There was not a culture department involved. There was not, brands trying to buy musicians by saying, hey, if you are on our roster, you'll open these shows, you'll open those shows. So, that thing didn't exist. It was just like, have fun. There's a space. There was an Ashwan hall where everybody just got together and went nuts.
That's what
so,
way school.
So this was 2003 to 2007. Mm-hmm. I played with Point of View, and we've seen a very healthy atmosphere. I would say I've seen a very healthy and giving atmosphere amongst musicians. There's been no animosity. Mm-hmm. I think the as a musician, then what I saw was the animosity part, or the jealousy or the envy part only set in where I think towards 2010 or 9, when brands started getting involved in the scene. Now, what happens is when brands get involved, you get promoted, number one, even if you're deserving or not deserving. The moment that happens, there's always the bitchiness and the gossip that comes out saying, why would these guys get to do this when we've been working so hard? And so everybody has a different temperament, everybody has a different story, everybody has a different background, and everybody has their own take on it. Somebody like me would say, it's okay, they're working hard, they're getting some promotion, they pull the right contacts, they pull the right strings. I'm happy for them. Mm-hmm. But somebody who might have put everything into that in the music, or probably is living off music, or is trying to make ends meet, would probably say, I wish I had this opportunity, but I didn't get this because the person sitting at this particular position who offered this band this job was of a particular nationality, or was somebody's uncle, or knew somebody. So we're coming back to nepotism, which is being discussed
which is true
in a big way. And it's okay. Means that's how it is, man. That's how life is.
But it's true.
It is true. Of course it is true. There's no doubt about it. When I came here, I remember looking for a job in 2003, and the ads clearly said UK educated, US educated, European, you know. So it was, everything was based on your color and your race. It was so open.
Okay,
So I didn't.
sorry to cut you off. So you know what? It's sorry if I'm cutting you off because I need to ask this
No,
question.
that's okay.
Sorry about that, because I need to ask this question from Nasser, because like Nasser is a prime example. To be honest to you, I'm not pulling off favors over here. Whoever is watching, you guys know that I'm not that type of a guy. I don't just blow smoke off anyone's fucking ass. Nasser is a prime example of being actually being labeled a local musician, but being treated as an outsider. So my question to you, Nasser, is that uh, was the scene welcoming to you, like day one? How was the
Dude,
response?
when like the thing is like uh I don't need people to validate me from the music scene in Dubai. My family's had a home in Dubai and my dad's had businesses there since the 90s. My dad was actually supposed to be based in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in the 80s. I have family in Abu Dhabi. Two my uncles live there. My cousins, their kids, all of them live there. So I've had a long connection to this country since I was a kid. I've been flying back and forth since the early 90s. We still have a home there. For the only thing right now is it's just a bit of a logistical nightmare. It takes me a bit longer to get there, but it's still my second home. I lived in Dubai for almost a decade, man. I mean, I had my formative years from my teenage years to my late 20s in Dubai. My music kicked off in Dubai. Do you know what I mean? I didn't need people to be welcoming or not. Guys like Nikhil or Neil from from Nicotine, or any other guys all the other guys in the scene. Even when I was living in Doha as a teenager, man, the Nerfsel guys, they were always very welcome. They were always encouraging us to try to come to Dubai and get something happening. When I was in a band in my hometown, you know, they were always like cool about it. So we never had this kind of problem before. Like that's why I always say, like the older guys, like Nickel, those guys, it's always been a healthy relate. Okay, Nickel and I kind of had one weird spat in the middle, but I apologized to him and said I was a dumbass because, you know, tempers kick in. I was young, whatever. But like at the end of the day, these guys we've always had this very brotherly, positive relationship. It's never been a problem. And touching on something that Nicole said, of course, it exists everywhere: nepotism, cronyism, favoritism, all of that shit. The way we've approached it, Vivian knows this because Vivian's been playing with me for 5 years. So like I've always said, like, hey man, let's try to get as many gigs in our town or in our scene in Dubai, so that eventually we can open for bigger bands and the bigger shows. The problem is not that certain bands get promoted, certain slots and platforms, and we don't because they're on Red Bull or whatever brand they work. That's one of the things. Red Bull used to also like help a lot of their artists, which is okay. So they're artists. They have to give them platform to promote them. Give them a platform, sorry. So what used to bother me was that it would be such an obstacle to get through to people. You'd have a professional press kit, you put on a fucking killer live show, you're a professional band, you have records out, your record's actually not doing so bad. I mean, everybody's sales are mediocre, but like you're doing all right, and still it's like there's no winning, like you'd have to have a connection, or someone somewhere doesn't like you because of a certain thing, because his friend doesn't like. I mean, it's that kind of bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So it just feels like you're sort of at a dead end and you don't know where to go from there. But with us, I had a moment. I'm guilty of it. I'm not gonna deny it. I had times it wasn't envious. Of course, I'm very happy for my friends who've opened festivals. When Nerfsel opened for Metallica, we flew in everybody who was in the same class with Rami and Rajah, and we actually went out and did a party. Like we came out to the show, we had an after party. So it was like we celebrated our friends doing that. It was an amazing milestone. Same thing with Nickel and the guys when they opened for Guns N' Roses, or when they did the thing with, I think you guys opened for Guns N' Roses twice, right, Nickel?
No, we opened only once. The first time we were a victim of nepotism the first time.
No, but you guys did you did the Bumblefoot stuff.
We did the Bumblefoot stuff, and then we opened in 2017 for the Not in This Lifetime tour.
Yeah. So I mean, like whenever I meet friends, I always tell them that. I'm like, yeah, like my friend Nicole and his band POV, they're really good. They opened for Guns N' Roses, blah, blah, like that kind of stuff. So it's always like I mean, even you guys with nicotine, man, it's always you feel proud that your peers, even if they're older than you are and more experienced, that they've done this stuff. It's never been. Vivian, you can attest to this. He knows this.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm
mean,
always happy.
yeah,
for my
Vivian,
friends'
jump in, man. Jump in if you have anything to add to it.
I'm always proud of my friends' success, and not just my friends, anybody in the scene. I always like, listen, there's this weird awkwardness, I'm just going to say it openly, between me and Jay Wood. I don't know why, but there is, right? But I always say to Vivian, the guy like does a lot. Like, you have to admire his playing as a guitarist, and, you know, like, he's working hard, man, you know, like, regardless of whatever nonsense. It's not even, I don't even think it's him and I think it's people around us just creating nonsense, right? But like, the thing is, for me, it's not a matter of feeling some sort of envy or whatever. It's more of a frustration type of thing. And I've been guilty of feeling frustrated and saying, well, how the fuck am I going to get through to these people to get my band, you know, some kind of exposure? But then after a while, you grow up and you're like, you know what, I'll just do my own thing. We'll do our own thing. I mean, like, we'll take our own channels, our own mediums. We'll build our own networks. And that's why, like, I've been trying to push Vivian to fly with me to LA, but we've had our own drama with that. But when I've gone to LA or to London, I've built these relationships with these guys in the music scene over there, because we have a decent network in those countries now to play there. You know, it's just a matter of logistics, and this coronavirus didn't really help, and like getting the band together to actually do this, you know.
So Viv,
I mean, look,
yeah,
even though we decided that we want to take things into our own hands and we want to stop playing outside more. Of course, playing in your hometown it's important, you know, because we all became who we are over here as musicians. So
yeah,
that's why, at least for me, I don't know, even for Naser, that it's really important that we play shows in Dubai. I think the last one we did was at Moto. Like the first show in a long time as Winterburn, as a proper band with the band name and so on, and it was a really good show. And to be honest, I want to play more shows here, man. Like, really. Okay, forget about the whole Corona thing, but even assume that it was not there. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know who to approach. I mean, I know who to approach, and I know what the answer will be. You know,
I mean, we approached when Nikhil opened, Nikhil and POV opened for Guns N' Roses. We also approached them with the press kit. You remember? And there was a weird, awkward. The promoter had a weird, awkward way of responding to it, and I was like, okay, we've approached. I'm not going to name his name, but he knows who he is, and everybody in Dubai knows who he is. There's a manager who's managing bands in Dubai. And we were very respectful and very nice, but for some reason he's got some kind of fucking issue with us, and like it's always the same nonsensical behavior and like just weird, like shady shit, man. You know, it's like we approach him to manage the band, right? And then at one point we're like, fuck it, we'll just manage ourselves, because if we can't get through to these people, I mean, listen, we have options on who to manage the band. I can't really disclose much. I've spoken to a few people who have very decent contact in the industry, and particularly in Europe and England. But like, it's just frustrating, you know, like after a while you're like, listen, man, and I'm very straight. If you have a problem with me, tell me what your problem is. That's all I'm at. You know, let's openly discuss what the issue is. I don't like this nonsense games and, you know, like people collaborating against another musician or blocking opportunities for people to get gigs or stupid shit like that. I mean, grow up, you know? What kind of bullshit is that? If people actually work together in this scene, and, you know, and Nikhil, I'm not knocking you or any of the promoters. Nikhil, Ryan, Vin gave us a number of shows. I've always had nothing but positive things to say to them, whether we got paid for some shows or whether we didn't. And we're always very understanding if we don't get paid. We know what the circumstances are. We don't knock the promoter. We knock the situation. It's actually more to blame on the crowd, because like Nikhil said the other day, we have a community of like 200 musicians. They should be showing up at every gig. They would rather blow their money on like nonsense than actually spend like 60, 70 dirhams on like on their friend's ticket. You know, some of them, they show up when there's no ticketing. because they don't even want to pay for tickets. Some of them, they show up, they don't even buy merch, man. I mean, like, really, it's a 50 dirham shirt or 30 dirham shirt. Is it really that much? We even sell our CDs at a discounted price. But what I'm trying to say is like aside from all of this shit, like there's also like just the nonsense between musicians. Look, you're doing this show. I'm gonna say something you're not gonna like, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I really dig your show, and I know you and Adnan both have a similar format, and I know that you've also been very honest and respectful, and you gave him a shout out for helping you set up. But you have different shows. I mean, it looks similar, but it's different shows. You have a different format, different structure. You have those little questions at the end, which I think is very cool. It's very entertaining. He has a more free form conversation. You have a conversation / other things happening in between. It's different shows. But for someone to go on his show and start knocking you, it's some serious bullshit, especially someone from our music scene. And I know that shit happened, man, because I've seen it, right? Like, that's the kind of shit that I'm like, you're in the same music scene. Instead of promoting your friend, you know the guy, literally. You're going to run into him in person. Why are you going on someone else's show and sitting and knocking the guy? That's the kind of nonsense I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hang out with our ex-drummer, and, like, he used to tell me, like, man, you're super nice to these a couple of promoters. He's like, you know, every time they're at a party, they talk shit about you for no reason at all. Unprovoked, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, listen, man, they want to talk shit about me, let them talk shit about me. They didn't do it in my face, that's fine. But, like, you know, I'm not going to change who I am and be an asshole just because they weren't raised properly. That's all I got to say. Sorry, Nikhil, I went on a ramble over there.
No, that's okay, man. That's fine.
So
go ahead.
For you, Nick, okay, because you're a promoter and a musician, I want to see what is your take on the whole thing. As in, do you see it as in, is it a musician problem, or it's a promoter problem, or it's that whole competitive nature of this whole thing, that it turned to be a competitive nature? Just as you said, we are 200 people. Okay, that's including the fans and the musicians themselves and the promoters, all in one package. We're like, what, 250 max. I'll put us this way. Who is to be...
I call them audience. I wouldn't call them fans, because not all of them are fans.
Okay, audience. Where do you think the problem is? Like, you know, is it the musicians, or is the promoters, or is the rules and the regulations of the venue, or what is it basically? If you can, like, pinpoint some stuff.
I'm going to try my best to keep it brief, and I will only speak for myself. Mm-hmm. The way I have understood, or the way I have grown as a musician or a promoter, is purely out of experience, and by experiencing what are the pitfalls and how to deal with certain situations when it comes to the local scene. I think the main issue is really it's a 3-point issue. There's venues, there's musicians, and there is an audience. But I would blame the musicians first, because I feel most musicians first need to figure out why they're playing music. Are they playing music because they want to make money? Are they playing music because they want to open a show for a big band? Or are they playing music because they really love playing music? Because that is really what they want to do. What is your priority? So the what I was mentioning previously as well, from 2003 to 2010, I saw people playing music mainly because they wanted to play music. Means it didn't matter to them who the promoter was, who the audience was, whether there was a Red Bull involved or whether there was a brand involved. Nobody cared. They just wanted to get to shows, play shows. Nobody bothered about was a promoter making money or not making money. It was all about just having a good time. I think the trouble really started with number one is brands getting involved. The moment a brand gets involved with a musician, although even if it's for a good reason, there will always be somebody who's going to be unhappy. I mean, there will be the happy guys, there will be the unhappy guys. Also, at the same time, I feel musicians need to own up to a lot of their shit. Because as a musician myself, I feel musicians do not do enough or do not take enough responsibility for the scene, for that matter. I mean, everything is like, oh, why didn't he come to my show? He went to that show. Or why am I going to do this show if I'm not getting paid for it? Why am I going to do this show if this band has a bigger name on the poster and my name is at the bottom? So it's all become like, it's all in the head of the
Business.
musicians. And musicians are not easy people to deal with. I mean, I won't say that they're the most easy people, because they are very sensitive, they're creative, they have a lot of personal issues. And to top it all, in the middle of all this, we have the pro circuit, which is the guys who play in hotels and bars. Now, they are the guys who basically earn money out of it. So all it takes is for a guy like me or you to go and hang out with them, and they plant the seed in your head. Oh, I played a 45-minute set. I got paid $2,000. How much did you get paid? And then suddenly the musician is like, oh, you know what? I didn't get paid anything for this. But they got to understand, this guy does it for a living. That's his bread and butter. He's on that visa. He puts in money into his practices because he's supposed to please a particular crowd every night with that 45-minute or 3 sets of 45 minutes. Means he doesn't play original music. He doesn't play a show at a music room where he gets people to watch his original music. So his scene is completely different from what your scene is. So you cannot apply the same rules to an independent musician as against a professional musician. I think musicians need to be able to differentiate between that. The second thing is, I feel musicians have this feeling of entitlement that, I have to get this, I have to get that, I have to be like this. Means, I think it's always good to turn around and ask yourself, if I'm going to a promoter or a venue to ask for something, even if it is not money or if it's just a show, why would a promoter or a venue bring you on board? In this common sense, if I had a business to run and I had to bring an X band on stage, my first question is, how many people is this band going to bring in to run my bar? It's a very obvious question. And that is where either a venue will ask you straight away, can you bring in so many people? And if you say no, there's nothing to feel bad about. I mean, yeah, you don't have the capacity to bring in so many people. And that just shows that you've not probably done your job as a band. You need to pull your loyal followers to every show of yours. They need to be loyal enough to pay for tickets. They need to be loyal enough to come to your shows and support you, not just because they love drinking beer with you, but because they genuinely enjoy your music. So venues will always try to find musicians who maybe are not great with their skill, but who have the pulling capacity. Because, I would love to hire this guy because he's got 200 people who go wherever he is. Like uncles, aunties, building friends, dogs, cats, everybody's there. So the bar is happy. But at the same time, you have to realize, as a musician, you need to create that database of people to follow you around, because you will have to justify to a business owner as to why should I take over your business on a prime night if I cannot give you the same amount of money? Because Dubai is not one of those places where, it's like a family business. And if I don't make money on one night, it is fine. I mean, you're paying money to the government, you're paying rents, you're paying electricity, you're paying diva, you're paying a lot of things. So a musician has to start looking at it from the business perspective also. And if it doesn't make sense to him, for example, if the musician says, I don't care about what his business is, I just want to play, then you have to be able to find or create a gig yourself where you are liable for everything. So you need to be able to take up that responsibility of being liable. That's how I started Rock Nation. Means I was seeing gigs happen, but I couldn't see any gig that was professionally organized or that had a press release in a newspaper. In 2006 or 2005, when I played the Assembly, it was just through friends. People had told each other through the Assembly, through AUD, that we have a gig. But there was no proper, there was no method to promote that gig. I brought that in 2007 or 8 with Rock Nation, where we actually got City Times on board. Now, the good thing about it is, yes, gigs get promoted then, but the bad thing about it is people then start viewing you as not a friend or a fellow musician. They start viewing you as a promoter / businessman. So, as a musician, I have a lot of friends, but there are a lot of those friends who don't like me as well, because they've seen me as a promoter as well. And unfortunately, when you're a promoter, you have to make certain harsh decisions. You have to make certain statements. You have to say certain things to people that they might not like. And that's the truth, unfortunately. So I feel that musicians need to own up more. Musicians need to finally decide as to, why am I doing this? Why am I playing music? Am I playing it to make a living? Am I playing it to make pocket money on the weekend? Because I've had situations where I've asked a band as to, listen, you know how much money I make on this gig as a promoter. How much would you want to get paid? And point of view, for example, my band, we've never charged anybody to play a local gig because I know how much money a promoter makes. It's really a pittance when it comes to doing local gigs. So I feel that much money a promoter should make anyways for the effort he puts in. But the thing is, you cannot. I had asked this band, how much will you charge? And they said, we would charge 3,000 dirhams for a 1 hour slot because we have 10,000 followers on Facebook and because we've invested money into practice. Now, let me tell you what is wrong with every statement.
I'm sorry, but they're fucking morons. They really said that.
But now Naser would have a good thing to say, because he flies down from Qatar and Okay, go
exactly.
ahead.
Now let me tell you what is right and what is wrong about this. What is right is the guy has spent money probably buying those likes. So he feels, I have to be able to cover up for this for somewhere. Fair. Okay. But then if he was a real musician, he wouldn't be buying those likes. Like I see certain bands on the scene where they would get 5 people to watch them, but they've got 15,000 likes on their Facebook page. And I know it's not organic. I know it. But I don't care. It's like, okay, that's his trip. I'm happy for him. The second thing is, you don't justify the money you invest in practice. Because as a musician, you are supposed to practice anyway. You are not practicing because you're getting a gig. That is what a professional musician does who lives off music, where he says, I have a gig, it's confirmed, it's a corporate gig, so I need to put X hours into this practice and I'm going to add that cost into the fee I'm going to get from the corporate. A corporate doesn't care how much he needs to pay you. They have millions of dirhams just to throw away. But when you say that to a local promoter, he's going to ask you to fuck off. Because he's going to say, listen, man, you please go and play your music for yourself. I cannot afford to pay for your practices. I'll give you a simple example. We played a gig for the Abu Dhabi Art and Culture Foundation. We played a 30-minute set. They paid us much more than we could have ever expected for that 30-minute set. We didn't want that money, but it was stupid of them to pay us so much money. But the reason why they paid us so much is that they don't care. They have the money to be spent on that event. They don't care who the band is. They don't care how much time is he playing for. As long as we follow the rules, we play the time slot, they just pay. So basically, comparing, a musician needs to understand this, that when you play for a corporate, the rules are different. When you play the local scene, the rules are different. When you play for yourself and when you are investing in your practice, you cannot justify that to a local gig. You are supposed to practice anyway, whether you like it or not. And if you don't have a jam pad at home, too bad. You have to invest in your practice. You have to go to a Nash. You have to go somewhere who is running a business and you need to pay him. But you cannot sit on top and say, I pay for practice, I pay for rent, I pay for this, I pay for that. So, and I've got 15,000 followers on Facebook. Why won't you pay me 3,000? Yes, I would pay you. And to the same band who asked me this, I asked them a simple question. I will pay you 3,000 dirhams if you guarantee me 30 paid entries for 50 dirhams each. For somebody who's got 15,000 likes on Facebook, do you think it's that tough to bring in 30 people for 50 dirhams each?
It should not be, but I mean...
Exactly. Yeah. But the problem is, the other
I have a response to everything you're saying. I'm just waiting for you.
But the problem here is, the problem also is that musicians feel it is not their responsibility to bring in the crowd. They feel it is the venue's responsibility. They feel the venue should already have this wonderful crowd who's waiting for them to cheer them because they are like fucking Metallica. They also feel that the promoter oh, you're making money off this gig. It is your job to promote the gig. Of course, I'm promoting the gig, but you as a musician needs to bring in your friends and make them pay at the gig. That is the only way I'll be able to pay you.
Well,
I'm
actually,
promoting the gig.
it's a good segue because Carol is asking what would it take to keep a gig like a gigging musician afloat? Crowdfunding, or like what else? Like
Absolutely. I think Carol has made a very valid point, and I've discussed this with him as well. Uh, I think that the whole model needs to change. Uh, if you find a venue, we obviously have a problem with not enough venues in this country who are able to support rock music or live music, which is not commercial. Uh, so I would say the ideal model where nobody feels like they've been ripped off is where a venue comes to you and says, "Here's an empty space. You guys bring in your crowd. I will give you the space for free. I have backline. You can use it. But if you damage any of it, you pay for it. But you bring in your people. Whatever sales you make, whatever tickets you sell, I will keep 20%. You keep 80%. That way, nobody's obligated to bring in a crowd. You have to bring in your own crowd. The promoter will also push. The venue will also push. The band will also push, and everybody makes money. Everybody is to blame if people don't come. Everybody is to blame if people come. So it's a fair game. Over here, I think musicians are spoiled because everything has always been served on a platter to them. Means I remember where where bands say, "Why should I go first on a slot? Why should I go last? Why should I play at this time?" And I always tell them this, that it is really up to you and your followers. If your followers really love you, they will wait till 2:30 in the night, and they will stop being pussies by saying, "I have to wake up at 7 in the morning." All right, everybody has to wake up at 7.
Yeah, but bro, you have to be realistic. Like I totally agree with everything you're saying, but then you also have to be realistic with build times about like what day is the gig happening on. If it's on
of course,
if it's on a
the
fucking
basics.
Saturday, nobody's
No,
gonna stay
listen.
till
Okay, now here's where the fun part comes in, because I know we've been having these very diplomatic conversations, and I feel it's probably a good time to debate.
but, I mean,
I still have a response for Nick because he made some really good points, and I agree with all of them. But there's a couple of things where I have to be straight up and honest. Like, because look, we may have had issues with bringing big crowds to our shows. Of course, I was a solo musician, man. I wasn't a band. It is weird from a human perspective when you support. By the way, I noticed it's a regional thing in the Middle East where a solo musician, I don't know, it's weird, like whereas supporting a band is different. Like especially if the person has certain types of views that maybe conflict with what you believe in and all of that shit, because people tend to associate the personal stuff with the music. So we've played shows where we've brought in big crowds, and we've played shows where we have not brought in big crowds. And I'm honest about it. I'm not denying it. I don't have an ego to sit and it's not. My ego's not gonna be deflated if I don't acknowledge that we've had bad shows too. But what is not fair is like, okay, if you go to a promoter and you're like, I don't think my band's going to bring in a very big crowd, but you have a decent bill of bands, throw us in an opening slot. At least give us that platform to give us that exposure to this audience.
Of course.
I mean, if the band is good.
I think you need to understand this, Naser, that as a promoter now, I will tell you, a promoter always plans his gigs in the most strategic way. A promoter will always see that, okay, there's a band which is new, they're good, they don't have a following, but they deserve to be heard at a good time. So I'm going to slot them maybe towards the start so that they get that opportunity to, showcase themselves and build an audience. This is the band's chance or opportunity to call all their friends in and make a show and put up a show and get maximum impressions and recall value. The same band, the next time, might move up a slot or second or third up a slot, and maybe could even play a headlining slot. Now, the way I see it is, my own band at my own festival played a slot at 2:30 a.m. And my own band members asked me, "What is wrong with you? People, your own festival, you're playing We are playing a slot at 2:30 a.m. Literally half an hour left. People have left. Most of the crowd is gone. Why would you slot us so badly? And I have always believed that it is not about the slot. I mean, we played to 20 people, but those 20 people were totally into it. They loved it, and we held on to them. Those 20 people went and joined our page.
We
would
played
rather have
for
those 20
janitors,
organic.
man. Me and my band, we played for janitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know,
So-
like, I don't know what to say, man. There's so many things I
See, the
want to
thing
mention.
is,
you know?
musicians have a lot of ego, and this only starts creeping in with gigs, with slots, with positioning, and then there are people who are like, hey man, we've played a show, we play open for X band, that band, and why should we play this show? Obviously, there are certain bands who demand respect. You cannot take that away from them, like a Nerve Cell.
Okay.
A Nerve Cell has done everything possible. You cannot treat them like shit. They have earned it.
Okay, Nerve Cell
Yeah,
earned
but
it.
you know, wait, hold up. I was gonna say something. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. Go
Actually,
ahead.
it was in response to Nick because he said something earlier which was a bit interesting about a band's crowd pull at a show. Like, look, man, I've seen a band that got signed to Roadrunner literally 4 months after I watched them play to 20 people in a club in Hollywood. But they put on the
The
best.
scene there is totally
fucking-
different. The scene is totally different abroad.
But hold on, bro. I want to say something. They put on the best fucking show I've ever seen. Their show is actually better than watching Guns N' Roses headline a stadium. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is like, it's okay. I understand that. Like our last show, we had about 50 to 70 people total, and we were targeting that amount. By the way, we were like, as long as we had something under 100 in that venue, because it was in Moto Dubai, it's not too big. It's perfect. You know, upstairs, downstairs, it'll be good enough. And people were going in and out, and there was no liquor, man, which is another major factor at these shows. But that was good for us. Look, we were happy because those people that came down to the show had a fucking great time. You know what I mean? They got to see the new band, new tunes, new stuff, new image, the whole thing. So, like, everyone's got to start somewhere. I understand from a promoter's. I totally understand and agree with you on a lot of things you're saying from a promoter's perspective. The social media thing is another factor. Like I know guys personally who are actually big on YouTube or on Instagram or on Twitter, but they don't have a major crowd pull because most of their audience is not even in Dubai. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, sorry to cut you off again, Naser, but you know, I feel there's nothing wrong. You don't have to feel bad about it. If somebody has 15,000 likes, okay, I know he probably has bought them, but the way I look at it is, I need to build my audience as well. So everything that is happening around me as a musician, if I take it constructively and say, okay, here is where I'm lacking on my social media. I have the skills, I'm lacking on social media. I have great music, but I don't have stage presence. I have great music, great social media, but I'm not being able to convince people to come to my show because I'm too proud to go and ask people or beg people to come to my show. No, I mean, I think a musician, if he really wants people to come to their show, should call people 10 times and say, hey bro, are you coming? Please come. It'll be nice to see you. Yeah.
At fucking Comic-Con, we ran inside into the audience. Vivian, you remember, I dragged Vivian. I went to like local kids. I was speaking to them in Arabic. I was like, we're going to play at 9 p.m. tonight. Please come out, watch us. Don't go home. You're going to have a good time. It's a rock show. Like literally, you remember, Viv? I was like harassing.
That was super cool because when we were playing the show, there were a bunch of local kids standing in the front. They're like, "Who are these guys?" And they were actually moving to the music. That was weird.
Yeah. I would love to see more bands do that over here, rather than getting the fixed crowd, which is thanks to their connections with brand and with their little crowd.
Sorry, Nick. Sorry to cut you guys. Sorry to cut you guys off. I want to mention this. Okay, you guys. Okay, I agree to whatever you said. Social media is lacking. Work on it. Stage presence, if your stage presence is lacking, work on it. Whatever. Yes, if you have any lacking, work on it. But what about the bands that they formed within, let's say, 6 months and a year? They get that exact connection with the right people, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, they get recognition left and right. You know.
Yeah. So, okay. So
your point is now I'm not talking about big names. I'm not talking about big names.
I know.
I'm not talking about big names like Red Bull or any organizations
Ahmed,
Universal
sponsoring it.
Music,
Yeah,
etc.
I'm not talking
Ahmed,
about
Ahmed.
like that circle of friends that they actually are kind of the kings of the hill. They kind of like they actually can push you there when it comes to this scene. I mean,
Uh,
I've seen it with my
Ahmed,
own eyes, you know?
Ahmed.
Tell me.
Okay, so here is how I see it as a mature musician now. Okay, and I'll tell you why I'm saying this word mature musician. You will always have somebody who gets lucky in any walk of life. Okay, be it a
True.
musician, be it an actor, be it anybody. You'll always get that first chance. But if you cannot hold down your, your skill, if you cannot prove that you are really good, you will finally fall from there. If you're a really good band and you get that one chance and you really make an impression, well, you're on your way. That means you got lucky.
Yeah, that's again, I agree to that. But this one shot is not presented to someone that is actually giving you a proper promotion.
But
It's
that is
bunch
always
of,
going to be the case.
I mean,
That is always going
when
to be
it
the
comes
case.
when it comes to attendance, I've seen it in my own eyes. I've experienced it when, you know what, I don't want to get into details, but I've seen that whole dynamic of this guy moving there, and I see some people coming in from his
Okay.
side, and this guy going away from here, and I lose this much of people. But when I enter again to their crew, oh my God, I'm very popular. But again, when I leave, who the fuck is that guy? You know, I get this response. This is one of the problems that no one wants to talk about in this scene. This
Okay,
is
I'll
why.
tell you something. In the most, again, mature way, the way I see it maturely. Point of view, my band, we have been gigging since 2005. Okay, we got shortlisted for Iron Maiden. We didn't make it. We played like more than 100 gigs. We toured with Bumblefoot. That was our first big thing. Everybody who's seen us so far have said, you're a good band, you're a tight band, you're not exceptionally great, but you're a good band on the scene. Why haven't you played a gig with a big Flash or a Red Bull or whatever? People kept asking us till 2011 from 2005. And we said, we don't know. Nobody approached us. We've not gone around asking. And we are not playing because this is our vision. This is not our final goal in life. I mean, the music and life is bigger than Dubai. You can go anywhere in the world and play it.
Exactly.
In 2011, we toured with Guns N' Roses. With Bumblefoot. In 2012, he came down. Everybody started talking about us. So how did you get Bumblefoot down to do this with you and blah blah blah. And suddenly everybody started looking at us like a premium act because we were like, it's perspective.
Because you guys had that wow factor
Okay,
on your
fine.
side. Yes.
2013, Guns N' Roses comes down with Bumblefoot. Okay, we get a call from Flash saying, you guys are the perfect fit for this. We didn't ask for it. They call us. We say, okay, great. Maybe this is our time to get on stage with Guns N' Roses finally. With Bumblefoot, it's obvious because we've toured with him. Flash keeps us hanging, and then they drop us unceremoniously 2 weeks before the show. They bring Jay Wood on board. Nothing
No, it was
against Jay
Juliana
Wood.
down.
Great guy. No, they didn't bring Juliana. They brought Jay Wood on board.
Are you sure? I was at the show.
I was in the band. So
Are you sure? Because I thought Jay would open for Motley Crue.
no, he opened for Motley Crue as well and a couple of other bands as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point was they brought Jay Wood on board. I have nothing against Jay Wood. I did ask Flash as to why would they just drop us like that, and Flash didn't even bother to reply. So that's how corporates work, unfortunately, in this country. I mean, I've got no qualm in saying that Flash should really pull up their socks and start working a little more seriously with local bands. You can't put in a local band at 5 o'clock in the evening on stage and then put the main act at 8 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you're playing to the guys who are just cleaning up the ground. But anyway, that's my personal story with Flash. We got dropped. We had two options. We had one option of being like the adolescent kid who's like, how can you do that? This is not fair. And we are going to go online and post about it. And it's not good. And, somebody took away my lollipop. We decided that that's not the way to do it. Maybe it's not in our fate to do this right now. Let's just stay dignified about this. Let's not talk about it. And we just kept quiet. We moved out of the situation. But the good thing that came out of it was we got to hang out with Guns N' Roses in their private arena thanks to our connection with Bumblefoot, not because of our connection with anybody else. We got to be on a more personal level with the band than an opening act could. The second thing that came out of it was people start talking as to who are these guys? Why were they dropped? We didn't say anything. 2013, we won the Best Band Award for Time Out Awards. And then again, people start asking that, oh, is it the same band which got dropped from the GNR thing? So we didn't say anything. But from 2013 till 2017, all that we did was kept playing shows, didn't talk about anything that happened in 2011, kept working on our skills, kept working on our social media, kept working on relationships. And we continued working with Red Bull, despite the fact that we knew that Red Bull had Jay Wood on their roster, and they're the guys who put Jay Wood there, and probably they're the guys who dropped us as well. But the point is, I don't care. Means for me, it does not matter. For me, what matters is I progress, I keep playing. I'm not going to hold on to grudges or whatever. And in 2017, even without asking, we got offered the biggest gigs of anybody's life, like the biggest sold out tour in the world. Guns N' Roses, Not in This Lifetime, a reunion gig. Yes, I did feel bad that Bumblefoot was not in it. But the fact is, after waiting from 2006 to 2017, 10 years, we got our big gig without asking. There were a lot of reasons why we didn't get those gigs in the middle. Maybe it was because we were not of a particular nationality. Maybe it was because we didn't suck up to a particular brand. Whatever it is, we don't care. The point is we got what we wanted at 2017, 10 years later, and we are happy. But the thing is, we lasted so long. We put in all that effort. And after that gig, we officially could go and tell people that, yes, I think the band has finally made it after being around for 12 years. We've never said that to anybody. But the good thing that also came out of it was that even today, if you come and ask me, will Point of View play a local gig and how much will you charge? I will always say, yes, we will always play a local gig and we will not charge you money. Because we know very well that despite opening for a Guns N' Roses, a local promoter doesn't make that kind of money. For us to suddenly be like, oh no, we're going to charge you. Because the scene here is still the same. Local promoters don't make money. The problems are still the same. The permits are a problem. There are no venues. So it's very difficult to put up a gig. And that is something that a musician here should never forget, no matter how big he becomes. He might play for Metallica or play all over the world. But when he comes to a local scene, the scene is always local. You cannot expect the same money. You can't expect the same crowd. But you will expect loyal fans. You will expect people who love you to show that support because you started from here. And that is what is important. That's what Nerve Cell does. If you see Nerve Cell, they will charge you an amount. And I feel it is fair to pay them. But they will charge you a very understandable amount. They will say that, we are flying in a person. Plus, I think we are Nerve Cell, so we deserve a minimum amount. And it's absolutely fair to do that because they have earned that respect. So I think musicians need to understand that.
Okay, just before moving on, I just want to read some of the comments because they're kind of piling up, and then I want to move to Vivian because Vivian been quiet the whole session, man. So
sorry, man. I think Vivian should speak for the next 1 hour.
I'm like horny to speak, but I just like
I will get you. I will get you, Naser. Don't worry, man. Jude D'Souza is saying, Jude D'Souza is saying promoters also have to do everything possible to ensure the gigs are really well marketed in a strategic way. No marketing, no party. And then Kishley.
By the way, Jude is a good friend and a promoter from Bahrain. Nikhil knows him because I think Nikhil did a gig with Bumblefoot.
Jude brought us to Bahrain for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was lovely to see that people paid 250 dirhams for a workshop over there without any problem.
By the way, funny you mentioned that, Nikhil. But there is a cultural thing I noticed in different scenes. In the Bahraini music scene, they don't have a problem paying and buying merchandise from local artists. Yeah. My albums actually sold out in Bahrain when they were released both times.
No, I've done workshops with Bumblefoot here in this country for 3 years. And even if it's a free workshop, no one should turn up and they behave like rock stars. Whereas when we did the same thing in Bahrain, and we had a sold out gig, 1,000 people at Ibrida.
Yeah.
But we had a sold out workshop with almost 100 people paying the same amount of money for a ticket for the gig as well. So they clearly respect the fact that skill and workshops are as important as getting drunk and enjoying a gig. And that culture needs to come to Dubai, unfortunately, and it's not there. It's a fact, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I'll move on in the comments. Kishore is saying, and an outsider view, would it help if the scene has centralized fund like a trust wherein musicians do the music and professionals manage the promotion, marketing, finance, audience, and etc.? Which is a very good point. I mean, like, but again, I mean, apparent, like, because
You mean like the mafia?
I mean, that is exactly
There is
what
a mafia.
I mean, that is exactly what a corporate does. They
that
fund
will
it,
not
they
work
market
because of
it.
the mafia.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The musicians have to do everything themselves. They cannot depend on promoters and corporates to promote you. Even if you're signed to a label, you have to still do a lot of work yourself.
well, I mean, like here, Ashish is saying the way to break the organizers' clique is to become organizers ourselves. Friends and
He's
bands
right.
and related genres gotta unite. I mean, it's and
He's
then
not wrong. I mean, that's what Viv and I. But the two best shows we played as a band was when
you
I mean
guys
Nickel.
organize it, like if
When we organized it, yeah.
yeah.
When Cruz did one, like we did it together. It was Cruz, myself, Nickel, and POV. There was a band called Bullet Cells. I don't know if they're around anymore. Very actually cool
They're
band.
still around. Yeah.
We did Rockstash, the prostate cancer, Oktoberfest sort of benefit. But it was a great show, man. It was amazing, the turnout. And we had radio interviews. I mean, it was really good stuff. This was 2012. And then the second show we did, Vivian and I, Vivian did a lot of the organizing because I was in Doha and I'd fly to Dubai. But like the best shows are basically that were set up and done properly were always the shows that we've done ourselves. We played a show with you, Nicole. What was it like?
Yeah,
2
the one at
years ago?
Scarlet Cardinal. Yeah.
Scarlet
That was
Cardinal.
also a really good. I mean,
That
the
was
vibe
awesome.
was good. You know.
See, the thing is, we didn't get a great crowd at that show. We got 60 people at that show, but the point was,
We had fun.
You'll always have a problem with shows because you don't have radio promoting in this country, any local gigs. The only radio that promotes anything local is 103.8, and they will do it at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Who the fuck is
They
gonna
used
watch
to.
at
They
3 a.m.?
used to.
Yeah, I mean, people get
James
on early in the
Pike,
morning at 6 o'clock and get there to play a song. I mean, nothing against 103.8, but why don't you put on a musician at prime time, at drive time?
They used to when we were younger.
yeah.
Like I remember in 2012, that period, 2011, when I was doing the first few records and the first early stuff, they used to put us on at like 8:30 in the evening. You know,
That's because I mean, I've done it with Zara as well at a good time. But the problem is, I think the way this country works is there's so much pressure even on corporates or like radio stations to make money that they are the local scene is your minimal priority. They're like, yeah, they're there. We'll see what happens. Their main focus is to sell the top 40 catalog, to bring viewership on board, to bring sponsors on board, because sponsors want to see how many viewers you have. If you're going to tell them, hey, I'm going to put up a point of view or a nerve cell on your show, they're going to be like, boss, other viewers going to be there. That's all that matters to us. So it's all a function of money. We are living in a city where everything is a function of money, because of which, if you want to build a local scene, you have to do it yourself, even if it is in somebody's garage, even if it is in somebody's backyard, even if it is in your own house, or going and finding a dirty third-class venue who's ready to give you a Friday night because nothing is happening over there.
That's the most desi expression, third class.
Yeah.
I will just go through the other comments because I want to go back to Vivian and ask him a few stuff. Ellie's saying it's not always about the music, it's about the person or the people, the connection and the vibe. There are bands I would see whose music I don't particularly like, but may find the artist inspiring as a person, so would support them anyway. People who set the room on fire with passion, what they do. And Nadim Bibi, what's up, Nadim? Nadim is in the house. He's saying, just want to say I foregone payment or taking less money and renegotiated media rights and marketing, etc. Sometimes that's worth more than the small amount of money anyways. So I mean, these are good points, man. These are good points that everyone
Yeah.
like,
Ellie, if you like passionate guys, you should come see us play live.
Oh
Put
yeah,
on
yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
Okay, listen, stop pimping your band.
We were just
I am
talking about
pimping my band.
shamelessly promoting your
Why
bands,
not? You shamelessly promote your band.
I'm not saying anything about pointing. I'm just telling you my story.
I have to
just telling you
promote
We're
my
new.
band.
We're new. Hey, listen, we're new. We have to like get our word out there, man.
No,
Yeah,
you're not
guys.
new. You're a pretty seasoned band, and I think everybody deserves to see Naser Mestarihi and his band. They're great musicians.
Winter
Thank
burn.
you, brother.
So please make sure there are certain good bands that people should watch in this country, who are not just about bringing 10,000 people, but they actually are very good musicians. So I
That's
think
great.
Naser is definitely one of them.
Yeah, Nasser, definitely.
Vivian, you guys.
I mean, I love AKB. AKB is a band that I love. I mean, I always
you.
kept telling him, he joined so many other bands, and I used to always tell him that raw power and the raw fun that I used to get back when I was in college with bands in college, I can see it in you guys, and this is what I miss, because this scene is missing the raw fun. Everything is too planned, organized. Everything has got a brand involved. Everything has become very smooth and streamlined. So I don't see any of that raw fun, like the mental issues gigs that we used to
man.
do.
Yeah,
They were like complete raw fun.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
man,
raw fun.
these are the good times. I hope we can bring it back. And thank you guys for the kind words. I mean, there is enough talent in this town that we can promote ourselves. But again, some people like me believe that still that barrier exists when you don't have the good connections or the good friends. So Viv, which brings me to the question to you, like in general, how do you see the music scene in Dubai, like based on character and behavior?
So you were talking about barriers, so there will be no barriers anymore because there is no scene anymore. Okay, let's put that out there.
That's a great point, man. I mean, that's a great point.
The scene doesn't exist. There's no fucking scene anymore. Okay, like a scene is when you have a bunch of bands and there's shows actively happening and there's things.
And they're
And really-
friends, and they're helping each
friends,
other out.
and they're all friends, and they all help each other out, and they all push each other, and there's healthy competition, and they all push each other to get better. That's how a scene should work, at least in an idealistic world. But coming to your question, by the way, before I go to that, I want to tell Nick the two bands that for me that I really enjoy watching in Dubai. I have enjoyed watching in Dubai. One is Nicotine, the other one is POV.
I say the same thing always with you.
Nasser knows this because every time we've come to your show, dude, like we've been in the front row and like
Same.
banging. It was fucking amazing, really.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, and we always spoke about doing how do you call it?
Tour or something. Yeah.
But with like 3 or 4 bands like POV, us, and Nicotine have like how you call it, like a
I think
hard
we need to start a grunge rock new metal scene again, because that is terribly missing on the scene.
AKB would be the black sheep as usual. Either we're gonna be going first or we're gonna play at the end.
I'm
listen,
missing,
we don't care if we play first.
Yeah,
we don't care.
I'm missing the Alice in Chains vibe. I'm missing the Stone Temple Pilots. I'm missing the Rage Against the Machine vibe. I'm missing the Limp Bizkit vibe, the Drowning Pool vibe. The whole '90s new metal thing is just not there anymore. Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love metal as well, but it's not my thing all the time.
So Viv, there is. Sorry to cut you off. So Viv, there is no scene. There is no fucking scene. So what are we actually talking about over here? Are we just like pulling, are we poking a dead body over here?
So I think the reason why I've been so silent for all this while, because honestly, I find there's nothing to speak about. We've been talking about
the same shit again and again.
The same shit again and again. We speak about this in person, and we're speaking about it now, and we're speaking about stuff that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you know what? Let's move on from this.
I think we're over this shit, man.
We're over this shit, and we all, as musicians and as people, we need to be mature enough to like say, "Fuck this! It doesn't matter. Let's do our own fucking thing, and let's progress, and let's do something better." Like, what's the point? Okay, if there's a clique, there's a bunch of organizers over here that, like, fuck off, like we can do our own thing.
So what I mean,
that's exactly like you see, it was a few years ago, like. It came to a point where, man, I think it was 4 years ago when I went to the States and I met with Mario and the guys there. Like, I came back with this like refreshed vision of, you know what, screw them all, screw everything. You know, if people don't like you and they don't want to be your friends and they don't want you to be in part of their scene and whatever, man, do your own thing. And that's why, like, you know, move elsewhere. I have this mentality of like, if things are not working out, stop beating a dead horse and stop repeating the same thing and, you know, wasting and investing your energy into that. Focus on the shit that matters. For us, what matters is that the music is good, our live performance improves.
Yeah.
We've had some issues live, like I had problems with my voice. I had to work on that. Like, you know, those kind of things. Tighten up
I had
as a
problems
band.
with my G string as well.
You know, and like stuff like that. Like tighten up as a band. Work on our marketing, our album packaging, like the way we present this band, and then obviously changing the band name. That was a big thing because we talked like as a band, and I said, we can't tour UK or the States or whatever with Naser Mestarihi as the band name. Like the English,
No one will take us seriously.
Oh, so yeah, what is that? You know, like they'd be like, oh, what the fuck is that? So we went for like, you know, a neutral name, and it's a band. Like I want these guys to share ownership of the band because we're four guys who are all contributing to this thing. But what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is you just got to move on and figure out other, you know, mediums to get your thing to happen. If things don't work out, there's no point in dwelling on the same thing again and again. That's why, like, Vivian and I don't even have these conversations. Our conversations we don't even talk about the music scene in Dubai. Our conversations are literally like, hey man, we need to work on this promo, this video. I'm writing new riffs over here. Talking to this promoter in this country or this musician over here. We're talking about touring. You know, like our focus is completely off, man. I'm more focused on budgets for tours and stuff like that than I am for Dubai music scene. Obviously, like we want to play in Dubai. We are contemplating playing in Dubai. But you know, like I said, these petty, childish, immature things.
I mean, okay,
it gets conjured up. Obviously, in this conversation, I remember all the funny ass stories because I'm 32 now, man. I'm a dad, so like I look at this shit and I start laughing. Nikhil beat me at that. He's way ahead of me. He's
I find all this like really pointless talking about because I feel the current scenario, what the pandemic has done is it's killed any chance of gigging anymore, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is, so if there are no gigs, there's no point sitting and bitching about everything that's happened. But
Exactly.
I feel what the good thing that has happened out of this is people have realized that I really want to gig. And that is something that has been missing in a lot of musicians that I have met in the last 4-5 years. Because when you ask somebody, hey, I'm setting up a gig, the first answer is, I'm so busy with I don't know what. But like they played one show a year and everybody's busy.
My schedule.
I'm tired, because I'm writing new music. Yeah, you're writing new music in the gym. So it's like, I think people need to come back to like square one, like start with a fresh slate saying, I'm going to start playing gigs, no matter where they are, what they are, no matter if it's a Sunday night or a Monday night or a Tuesday night in the middle of the week, even if it's at 4 p.m. in the afternoon on a Saturday, I want to just start playing. I want to be proactive as a musician. Because I think that proactivity has been terribly lacking amongst musicians themselves. Because everybody has their own challenges. Somebody's having budget issues. Somebody's not paid their rent. But wasn't music always about, being a stress buster? Wasn't it always about, hey, I want to go and smash out, because, I'm fed up of whatever's happening around me, my boss, my landlord, my this, my that. And my music was all about just letting loose. So it should come back to that. And I think Dubai right now, we really need to do that. We should start from scratch. The first Rock Nation gig I did was in a dead club on a Saturday night on Bank Street called Copas. And we saw 300 people.
Never heard of it.
There was Juliana Down and there was Moonshine. Imagine. In a club with 150, because people were dying. People wanted to go to a gig. People are like, screw it. I don't care what band it is. I don't care what it is. I just want to go to a live gig and I want to have a good time.
Dude,
So we are lucky that the pandemic has come in and it's given people
that thirst.
realization of not to have gigs and the thirst and the reason why they should be at a gig. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to kick back in with whatever few bands are remaining in Dubai now, because there are very few bands remaining now. So these few people need to actually just start playing more and more gigs wherever, whenever, however, in any situation, in any location. Bring your own amps, bring your own drum kits, lug it up there. Figure out a way to get it going. Ask fellow promoters as to how can we make this work. Uh, Forget the money part of it. Keep a small bowl over there, asking people to pay whatever they feel like. Distribute that money equally at the end of the night to everybody. Let them, people can go blow it on beers for all I care. But the point is, everybody should go back to the DIY model, I feel right now, to bring the scene back.
But
Like-
bringing, sorry to cut you off, okay, that's a good way of doing it. But bringing back the scene for what sake? Are we gonna create? Okay, that was one of the questions for Vivian, which now
you're
I'm
not
gonna
bringing back the
no,
scene.
sorry to cut you off again. I like this is one of the questions for Viv that I wanted to ask him. Are because he is like recently he is. Like in Dubai, because I was in a band with them, Portable Mind, and I'm kind of like in touch with the whole thing that they're still active, they're writing and stuff like this. Are we creating anything for this music industry? Are we creating a music industry by gigging and gigging and gigging? With all these failed gigs, okay, we make a gig, only 10 people show up, which out of that 10 people, 5 of them are the musicians. Like, these are the points I'm trying to pinpoint.
See,
are we creating a music scene with this type of formation?
Okay, look. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but
Naser's beautiful.
Yeah.
Naser is freaking beautiful.
Yeah. What
on.
shampoo do you? For any scene to operate, you need certain factors. Okay, you need the bands. That's one thing. You need the listeners, not the fans. You need fans. Okay, you need a music culture. Okay, that's really important. This whole culture of people wanting to go to shows, people wanting to go and buy music, people want to go and buy merch.
Yeah.
Okay, and on the third side, you have the, I would say, the management side of it. You have the promoters, you have the media, you have the radio, you have these guys. Okay, all of these cannot exist without each other. So we can do shows forever, we can play 1 million gigs a year, but if there are no fans, loyal fans, or a growing fan base that comes to watch us, or if there is no media that talks about us, forget about TV is dead anyway, but at least radio. Okay, that's the last source of media that people actually listen to on a daily basis. Still do. Okay, if they don't support it, it will not work. Okay, so from an organizer's perspective, more power to them. I think there should be more organizers in the scene. Okay, we need to have more people like Nick, more people like Josie, more people like Metal East. Everyone, there needs to be more. There shouldn't be just a few of them. Whoever can do it, please do it. Try and have more shows and more opportunities over here for bands to play. Okay, but at the same time, there has to be a link in between these two. So you need someone in between who is the link between the media, like the radio stations, or the record labels, or the magazines, or the publication companies, or whatever, linking them to the scene. I think in today's time, it would be more relevant to have how do you call them, playlist curators, right? You have these guys who, I mean, sorry, that's how it sucks. I know it sucks, and I hate this whole model of Spotify and streaming, but that's how the world is now.
I don't know. I can't digest it. As a musician, like that's my whole thing, though. But that's a whole different conversation. I mean, you saw me. I just bought vinyl yesterday. So
I know. I'm me, and I think Nick as well. I know a handful of people who still buy vinyl, who still buy CDs, still buy merchandise and T-shirts. I mean, I remember seeing Aram in the feed. Like, you go to his place, dude, like he has an entire fucking room filled with vinyls, CDs, and DVD boxes and collections and merchandise.
Same.
It's fucking amazing. And there's only a handful of people who I know who are like this, because as a musician himself, he understands the value of buying these things and supporting the band. Okay, he buys a merchandise from Iron Maiden. They're a super rich band already, and they're super famous. Doesn't matter. You need these kind of people in the world. Okay.
So here is what I can add to. Sorry. Just go on.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna finish up very quickly. So like I was saying to Ahmad, we are trying to build a scene, yes, by doing these gigs, and we've been doing it for a very long time. But there has to be a plan to build up an audience. There has to be a way to build up music culture. There has to be someone who's responsible, or a bunch of people, like a syndicate, or like you have these, how do you call them? It's like a musicians association,
like a union.
like a union, I wouldn't say union, more like a syndicate. You have this in like many.
It's a controversial word.
It's controversial. Can't say union over here.
I was about to say, we need to make another clique for ourselves, basically.
We need to make it, yeah, exactly. So the clique that's so busy fucking everyone over, maybe they should actually do some work and try to make the scene work. You know what I mean?
So here is what I feel. Like I said, going back to the slate again, to a clean slate. Yeah. The scene will build on its own if there are enough gigs. I mean, we are not trying to build the scene. If we play enough gigs, the scene will happen.
People will come.
Yeah. But at the same time, we must understand that there has to be a strategy in it. It should not be just blindly going and playing gigs.
Exactly. You have to target specific audiences
because
as well.
As a promoter, I always think strategically when I'm doing a gig. If I'm bringing one band, AKB, I know AKB has people who love their music who will come for them. But if I want to introduce their music to a younger audience, like today, I think as a little older, we are all a little older in terms of, we are dealing with kids who are listening to, all the stuff that is out right now. There's
Tekashi 69.
Yeah, it's very far from rock. So one thing that I have come to believe is that this is our opportunity to expose these kids to our kind of music. That is what I do with my daughter. That is what I'm doing with the kids that I teach. And and the only way to do it is by creating shows which attracts these kids also. And that is not going to happen by just having one band. You have to curate it in a way where I might have Naser, an AKB, but I will have a band from their era or their generation, probably a new kid who's playing in their college, to come and open the show. Because those kids will come to watch him and will stay on and watch the rest of the band and have a good time. That is how you build a culture of gigs with being inclusive, of bringing those people on board. So I think somebody needs to find these new artists, needs to convince them that it's good to be at these gigs. And the problem you're always going to face is venue. You will not find a venue. Permits is still going to be an issue. This is where a promoter or somebody who's experienced will always come in handy. Because even though everybody wants to be a promoter, this is something I have experienced. Like the experience I have as a promoter in the last 10 years, I wouldn't have if I want to be a promoter suddenly one day. And I know what the loopholes are in the system. I know where you can get away with what. I know where the fines are. And I know what somebody should be doing on stage and not be doing on stage. But at the same time, I know what I can get away with. So in a country where everything is based on such stringent rules, which is really something that limits us from doing gigs, you have to be able to play in a way where both things happen and still you achieve your objective. Creating a clique again is not that difficult. But if you have gigs with three bands continuously, or make it a monthly affair, it's like a listening session, or hey, this is a monthly party, a pizza party, where a couple of bands are going to play. It's just a monthly affair. There's no planning. It's like last week of every month, people are expecting something to be happening, and we are yet to find a venue. Nothing to do with great planning, and people like radio, TV, don't even bother about them. They will come to you. They say the day that they see that there is enough here for us to milk, because they're only there to milk you. They're not here because they love you.
True.
So they see that this gig has been seeing 100, 200 people regularly. Why not I start a podcast with these guys? Yeah. Because everything is going online now. Everything is going online. So like Vivian said, we have to go with the times. We have to go with the technology that is current.
So find a niche.
Yeah, we have to find
Although,
somebody in Spotify who says, I will curate a playlist which is catering to local bands, or I'll curate a playlist which is catering to a particular crowd, and then work with that person. But for that, you need to probably have somebody to help you get in touch with Spotify, or somebody who can speak to them, because this is where a musician might not be able to do it. This is where you probably need management, where you need promoters, where you need somebody with experience to go and talk to them. And
Well,
that is how you crack these deals.
Well, okay, cracking deals, for example, for Nasser, he as far as I've talked to him when I met him in his gigs, and like we sat down, we chilled once he was having his own steak and he was all alone by himself, so we like we kind of
I
opened up
was
to each
preparing
other.
for a show.
So I know, like we were like talking and stuff like this. The thing, as he said, it's not okay. We know that it's something out there that the click, whatever crap, whatever is that. But it becomes our frustration, because what, for me, like personally, me is like, man, like, what the fuck we did wrong that we didn't become that popular. But when I look into my stuff, okay, I fucked up here, I fucked up here, I fucked up here, so I'm gonna start working on these. But for example, for Nasser, there was literally no help. He started this whole brand of Naser Mestarihi from ground zero, bringing it up here. He went all the way to California, got his own connections. He recorded stuff over there. He got this Kubos guy who's a YouTuber, a drummer. Like he's a great drummer. He made an album
And
with
Thomas
him.
Pridgeon.
So he found his own connections. But still, I am standing on that ground that only there is that circle of friends that they are actually conquering this whole thing over here, man. I still believe that
No,
these are the
I
stepping
don't.
stone, like that we need to.
Sorry,
Sorry, yeah.
I disagree. I disagree with the host of the show, because I feel uh, nobody can validate your success. It is subjective. For me, success is not having 100 people at a show. For me, success is not about selling 1,000 CDs. For me, as long as I've done what I've felt honestly, genuinely, with the right conscience, and I've earned my followers who listen to my music, even if they are 40 people, that for me is success. Also, always remember at the same time, there's nothing wrong that you've done because of which you're still not seeing people at your show. Uh, there are very famous people, like even probably Leonardo da Vinci, who was not famous till he died. He became famous after he died.
So
I don't mean to say you have
Salman,
to
we're gonna
die.
die. Yeah, we need to die till
You
AKB
don't need,
makes it, man.
yeah, I mean, there are people who've done a lot of work all their lives, but have only got their fame very late in life. And it's nothing like a Porcupine Tree released 12 albums, after which they got some fame. They've been around since 91 for them to get some fame in 2016 finally. So, imagine the frustration that a band goes through for so long. But I think, things are a lot easier today because there's the internet. Your music goes up faster, there are more followers, people listen to your music more. But the flip side of it is the streaming, where in the first 10 seconds, if you cannot hold on to a listener, you're a failure. You're termed as a failure. But I wouldn't say these should be your benchmarks of success or failure. Luck will always play an important role. When things have to happen, they will happen. But at the same time, you should continuously keep on putting out stuff. You should keep on playing. You should keep on moving ahead. Don't stop. Because the moment you do that 1 gig per year scene, because I'm planning, I'll do 1 gig, this one big gig in a year, it kills your soul as a musician. As a musician, I'm itching to play all the time.
Same here.
Even after this gig, I will go in the front room, in the living room, I'll pick up my guitar and noodle around.
Same.
Because that is me as a musician. So the hunger to play needs to be there regardless of the results.
I'm totally with you, man. I just want to give context to some of the people watching, because maybe some of them don't know me or our band's situation. I'm in a different country and my band's based in Dubai, because I left Dubai, which was, sometimes I'm like, did I make a mistake? So it used to be easy for me to fly before. Like, it used to take me a couple of hours, but I'm totally with what Nikhil said. Like, if I was living in Dubai, I would push the guys to fucking play a show every weekend, every 2 weeks at least. I don't give a shit, man. For me, it's fun. I love playing music. I actually reached out to local musicians in my hometown, like respected old school guys. Like they're some of them are in their 50s. I said, hey man, like let's just I'll step in as your lead guitarist, backing vocalist. I just need to be on stage all the time because I just love playing to an audience, even if it's acoustic gigs. But unfortunately with me, I have the struggle of having to travel between two countries just to get to Dubai. So it takes me about like, last time it took me 21 hours just to get to the Emirates because our plane had to make an emergency landing, which is a different story. But like,
you know, the only reason why a band here does not play that many shows continuously is because they start feeling that, hey, we just played a show. So it's strategically wrong to play another show so soon. I believe that is fine if there are that many shows. But if obviously you don't play a show on Saturday, then you don't play a show on Sunday and on Monday again. You don't do that. But I'm sure you can plan it. Even a promoter with basic common sense plans his shows in a way where even if I can get to see my 5 favorite bands once a month, I will be there at that party every month just to mingle around, just to have fun with friends, just to drink, just to enjoy my music. It does not matter if those 5 bands were the same band I saw last month.
Agreed.
But in the middle of all that, you still keep playing. I mean, you still keep playing acoustic shows. You do whatever you want. You create content. So don't stop playing. I mean, what hurts me most is I see a lot of good musicians in this country and I don't see any material coming out from them. I don't see anything, not even a Facebook Live, not even a video of theirs putting out an instruction video or a playthrough or anything. And I feel these guys have so much content sitting with them. All it takes is 5 minutes, a phone in the front, and just put out something. I will watch it. I watch your videos, Naser. I watch whatever you put out. I mean, it's not that I'm looking forward to it or I'm dying to see it. It's coming to me. I'm seeing that Naser is putting out stuff. I'm going to watch it. And similarly, if somebody constantly puts out stuff, I will watch it. But because I know that it makes you relevant. People know you're still there. But the moment you disappear from the scene and then come back a year later saying, hey, so guys, I'm back and I'm going to do this. Okay, good for you. But, I'm happy. But I wish you were there in all these, 1 year, which I was sitting vacant doing nothing. I would have loved to see some content from you. I was sitting at home in the pandemic, but I didn't see anything from you. So if you really want to build your followers, you want to also build a culture of gigging, you got to constantly be putting out music. You can't be sitting quiet and only waiting for the big bucks or the big shows coming your way.
Agree. So, I mean, everything you're saying is like mirroring everything I say to Vivian. Like when this pandemic started, I said to Vivian, let's just do playthroughs of the whole album. The album that we that was finished for this band, Winter Break. I'm like, let's just play the whole album from start to finish, every single song. The drum tracks, bass tracks are already done. Let's just do me and you, different guitar parts, 2 different countries. We'll film it, put those videos out. Most of the videos, by the way, that you see, Nikhil, that I post on Facebook, these playthroughs, they're actually supposed to be instructional videos. I just haven't had the time to do it for medical reasons. I have a mess and everybody knows that. So I've had my own limitations, but they're actually planned tutorials. So like there's actually a tutorial behind each video of how do you play the songs, and same thing for our own music. But you're totally right, man. I believe me, man. I swear to God, if for me, my only like I have MS. If I get the coronavirus, I have a 50-50 chance. I could either survive or die.
God forbid, man. God forbid.
I mean, God forbid. But like, if I said to Vivian yesterday, I said, if there's an opportunity for us to play a show and I can get a travel clearance and fly out to Dubai, I went and spoke to my wife yesterday. She's like, go do it. She's like, she knows, man. She like literally looked at me. She's like, do it. Because she knows that that's what makes me happy. I always tell her exactly what you said. I said, it's like being an athlete in your prime and being benched. That's exactly what it feels. Yeah. It's being a musician in your prime, and you can put on a good show, and you want to play, and your soul just dies because you're just sitting at home and you're not doing it. That's why people were like,
it is perfectly understandable that people can't put out stuff because living in a foreign country has its limitations. You have so many issues. You've got kids, you've got schedules to follow. You've got money issues, you've got rents coming up, you've got jobs being lost. So you can't expect everybody to be in the perfect frame of mind to put out content all the time. But I would say even if you do it once a month, something that comes out from your end, it's nice, because I know a lot of people here who find that balance despite having a crazy life work-wise. They still find out maybe half an hour in 1 month to dedicate to putting out content. And I think that is something anybody can do who is a musician, even if it is just talking about getting on, doing a video and talking about my favorite song. It's like a school essay, my favorite festival,
Like
my favorite song, my favorite riff. Could be anything, because this is the best time to engage your audience. People are sitting at home. You will not get a better time than this to engage your audience.
I agree. So yeah, totally, man. I'm totally I pretty much agree with everything Nikhil said. I
think Nikhil tonight he kept you online, yeah.
No, I mean, man, I always treat Nikhil like an older brother. So I listen and absorb what he says, because I agree with him with like 99% of the things that he says. So a lot of what he says resonates with me, because it's the same kind of stuff that I say to you. I'm a few years younger than Nikhil. I'm not. We have maybe an age difference, but I'm older than Viv. So we have the same sort of conversations. I see it from his perspective because I'm old.
Yeah, Viv is almost falling asleep because he barely talked in this show. You know what? It's
I like to listen. I like to observe.
He's a good listener.
The thing is, to be honest, you guys, this session actually opened my eyes to look at things differently. I always tell myself that I'm looking at things in a different way, but again, something drags me back into that gray zone of what if this happened, what if this happened. But you know what? It's just the matter of that one click that you just change the whole channel for yourself, and you just go on with a different perspective about your goals and vision, which I think that each one of us is doing. With Naser and Vivian doing Winter Burn and doing all this playthrough videos and stuff like this, recording their own stuff. And Vivian doing the whole portable mind stuff. Nick is doing his own stuff, teaching guitars and doing the whole Bollywood stuff. So it's great to see that everyone is busy. And this whole pandemic, as you said, is just like a blessing in disguise. It's just helped us to reflect back on ourselves.
Don't say that shit, man. I hate that blessing in disguise bullshit.
No, it's been for me.
For some people,
it's been a horrible situation for everyone, man. Actually, my sister lost her job because of this whole thing. So everyone had their own ups and downs, but for me, it was that thing that pushed me to do thing.
It's awesome. I never knew Ahmed could do such a great podcast.
Oh,
but
man,
thanks to the pandemic,
stop.
I'm true, man. I like the way you do your podcast. And I was not even, Peter, my friend Peter Kotikala Pudi, he's been doing a podcast for ages. But how many people actually go and see it? Because he's doing it at a time when everybody is before the pandemic. But now that the pandemic is on, everybody's glued onto their internet, your laptop, so they are seeing podcasts. So this is a good time. You've done well.
Thanks a lot.
It's funny. I don't know if Ahmed, if you know about this, but Vivian knows this. About a year ago, when Rami and I were working on the album, Rami produced my last album. We were talking about launching. It's a different style of podcast. It's not like this, where it's a live conversation. Well, it is a conversation, but it's not live. And it's. I don't want to give the ideas away, but it was sort of like Adam 22's show, but for hip hop, rock, and metal.
Nice,
and I was even gonna review my stuff on the show too, like making fun of my music. It's a funny show because Rami used to tell me tour stories that I was like, holy shit, dude! These stories, we both have really funny stories of traveling around with musicians and stuff. So I'm like, man, if people hear these stories, an R-rated, no holds barred type of thing, it'd be cool. And then when this pandemic happened, we kept talking about it. And now Rami's away right now; he's abroad in Europe, so we kept postponing it.
Yeah, man.
And then you guys launched your thing, and I was like, what a perfect
dude, bring it on, because dude, I'm sure one of the things that that guy forgot to mention, that the more the merrier, you know.
Totally, man. I love.
I mean-
by the way, I really enjoy your show. I was literally driving around town trying not to watch the fucking phone because I was like, "You're gonna crash your car, man." I had my phone on the stand and I'm just listening to you and Viv, and it's not because Viv is my bandmate. It's actually entertaining. Like the show is really entertaining. The
Thanks.
conversations, the especially like the bit where you ask questions and they
Yeah.
have to answer. You know, like that kind of stuff. It's really cool.
Well, I mean, definitely. I mean, I hope I bring you guys in, like on your own, and we can dive in more into like you talking about
The music.
Winterburn and the music, and with Nick regarding point of view. And man, Nick is like one of the OG people that I know in this scene, man. When I came in, I mean, like fuck, man, 2007. It was, it was a golden days for me. I was like that kid. I wanted to do this, and I was in nicotine, and nicotine was taking off good. But again, blah blah blah, all that shit happened. Everything was there, but again, just life was
luck,
not.
bro.
Yeah, it's just like hard luck for everyone. So
It's okay, man. Don't regret anything in life. It's the journey is what matters. I think you've done well. Everybody's learned from, because one thing that you always that will always come to you from all these years is that you'll learn a lot. You will become more mature. You'll learn to see things with a different perspective. Your impulsiveness will die down a little bit, and you'll start looking at things from every angle. So I think it's all good. Means your thing with nicotine was great. You had a good time. I loved you guys. Your thing without nicotine is also great. I'm still enjoying talking to you.
Thank you.
And
man.
I do wish that Neil comes back into the fold and does nicotine again properly.
We need
You read
to.
my mind, man.
Yeah, but
Because-
he's busy selling his interiors business to people. he's got to live his life, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if it was up to me, I would just catch his
Oh,
ear
God.
and tell him. I'll just catch his ear and tell him, man, go play some songs, even if it is acoustic. But don't
Yeah,
give
I
up
mean,
on something that you
dude,
love so
my
much.
wife and I were talking about it the other day, and she was like, because I was telling her like about my favorite bands that I've ever watched live, and I was listening to bands, and she was like, I was like, man, honestly, I remember that show they did with Girish. Girish actually and I became friends after that show, Girish and the Chronicles, and that show they did. You were there, Viv.
I think
Where's
we
that-
played that show as well
Did you, bro?
at that small
Music Room.
bar, right? No, not the
No, was
music.
it Music Room?
No. This was another one.
Yeah, I think you played a different show with.
We
with
played
Girish.
another show with them at that place in Astoria, the Nepali.
Yeah,
Nepali
no.
place.
Yeah. No, this was. I know what show you're talking about, but no, this was Nicotine. There was Girish. I can't remember the bands, man. There was quite a few bands. Asad, Bullfunk Zoo played there, and man, it was such a good night. And Nicotine just sounded. I mean, they had not played for like. I swear they had not played for like a year, but they were.
But
they were.
that's always the case with Nicotine. They've never played for a year. They
And
always
they
come
were
back
s-
after 1 year.
After what?
Bro, they were so good. They were so fucking good. I mean, even their debut album, or I don't know if it was their first LP, is such an amazing in terms of quality, production, musicianship. It's such a good album. I mean, I played in my car. I listened to Broken Dreams. It's one of my favorite songs. By the way, I almost joined Nicotine as their lead guitarist when Joe left.
Oh man,
This is
so
a
you
true
were
story.
you were a late thingy. Wow, man, dude, nicotine.
Yeah,
is
I
a-
wasn't old Nicotine. I was new Nicotine,
man,
like 2011, 12.
Dude,
2012
I will
more.
tell you one thing. What broke the spirit of Nicotine, and until this moment, kudos to Neil for doing everything for the band. It was just because of other idiots in the band that this band actually, I think Neil had enough. Was like, man, fuck this. It was this this kind of egotistical motherfuckers that like, why would you fucking do this? We are all a unit. When you see this type of thing in your band, and then you see it in the scene, and you're gonna be like, yeah, fuck it, this shit exists everywhere, and I just need to. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I actually backed off, because it was just getting too much to fucking bear, man. I mean,
If this had to happen today, what you would have done is you would have just got rid of the two people, got two new people.
we
moved
got
on.
rid
continued, and moved on. Yeah.
we got rid of
That's-
them. That's why
that's what
Joe
we do.
came. That's
That's
why
what we do in Winterburn. We just fire people, get new people all the time. It's just me and Viv all the time. We're the rotating lineup.
I'm
Oh,
surprised he hasn't fired me yet.
Oh man.
You're different. You're like you're family, dude.
Oh,
No, I mean, the thing is, like, it's egos, man. That my favorite quote ever is like, egos are just overdressed insecurities. It's a quote from Quincy Jones, and like, man, when Nickel was talking earlier and talking about like stupid little problems in the scene, and all that was in my head was egos, egos, egos.
exactly,
I
bro.
don't get it.
Exactly.
Egos ruin everything. With the minute you walk into a room with an ego, you're gonna fuck up everything, man. And I don't know. For me as a kid, look, I always look at music. Um, I was talking to my friend, and he's like signed to a big label, and he tours and everything. And I was opening up to him recently, and I was like, man, like, there was a period I didn't play guitar for 8 weeks, and I couldn't even record a video of me jamming or anything. Right? I couldn't even do any content, which is weird because I'm at home all the time, and like I have so many guitars, I have the setup ready. And I told him, I was like, you know what it is? It's not egos. It's actually like I started getting insecure about my playing. I was like, man, I suck, you know, because the scene, like, not the scene, but like just everywhere, I felt like music had become all about shred and who's the most technical and blah 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 and all that shit. And you know what? You forget the essence of all of it, which is I got into music as a kid when I was a little kid, and I heard Slash and Hendrix and all of that. All I wanted to do was be in a room with a bunch of. First, I just wanted to play, and then I just wanted to be in a room with a bunch of guys and jam. I remember when Nerf Cell wasn't even Nerf Cell, when James Rajah was in high school, I used to break into like his jam sessions with Nigel, and I just wanted to like hear him, and like when I heard distortion, I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing. I just wanted to be in a room with a stack amp and jam with a band. When I got that, I just wanted to play on a stage. Now when we play, Viv and I and the guys, it's always like we always talk about, dude, let's just have fun. Fuck it, let's just have fun. That's all. Dude, we have mishap. Like, obviously you have to be good and you have to be rehearsed and tight live, right? But ask Viv, man, we have some fucking crazy mess ups live. I just look at him and I laugh. I'm like, whatever, dude. It's rock and roll. We're having fun. Like, everybody fucks up. For me now, it's like music is all about having fun, man. Like the business, all of that stuff. Of course, that's important. But like, I just want to play. You know, like what I said, what Nicole was saying, do it DIY. That's totally what I believe in. Like, I just want to get back to playing. I don't give a shit. I'm willing to travel, do the crazy transit.
If you had to play a gig tomorrow, even in a warehouse which doesn't have an alcohol license,
I'll do it.
If somebody tells you, hey, there's no alcohol, I can't come down, tell him to fuck off. He doesn't, tell him you're there for the music, drown a couple of beers at home, and then come to the gig. But
totally,
get some in the car.
Yeah, so I think this whole excuses of, people need alcohol to have a good time, and that's why the scene is drowning. It's all bullshit. If somebody likes what you do, if somebody loves music.
Sorry to cut you off. Is that a reason that someone actually brought up that there is no alcohol on homecoming?
That is,
of course.
I've heard it. I've heard that so many times.
It's not a reason that anybody brings up, but usually the general statement made is, oh, the venue is a non-alcoholic venue. How will people come? They'll take their cars and come. They'll still come.
They can still drive back
home.
Bro,
last show, I'm going to say this openly. I don't give a shit, right? I don't care. One of the people in the music scene who's supposedly one of my really close friends, and we're supposed to be tight, right? And I'll come down to your show and support you. At our first show as Winterburn, so many people, like cool people, man, they showed up. They didn't give a shit about alcohol. They're like, fuck it, man. We don't care if there's no alcohol. Like, we just want to, they've never seen us play live, right? So we've had a lot of my local friends come down and they were checking it out, guys and girls. And then there was like, musicians in the scene and whatever. The close friends of ours actually did not show up because they would rather be at a house party getting smashed. I mean, and I don't fly to Dubai regularly. I mean, I had my son in the States, so I was there for a long period of time. And then I had the MS attack, which kind of fucked up everything. My schedule, I couldn't travel for a while. I was getting treatment and all that. So this show was the first thing I had done since Viv, I don't know, since maybe Comic-Con in 2018.
Yeah. This was a long one, man.
Yeah, so there was a long break because of my medicine, because I had a son, because of all of that stuff. Like, I didn't want to play till everything was sorted, and because I was working on the album and I went to England and there was all of that. But I was just shocked, man. Like, okay, we don't come every day. We don't play every day. If I lived in Dubai and POV was doing a show next weekend, even if, by the way, when I was living in Dubai, there were bands playing regularly all the time at the music room, at, I can't remember, fucking random ass venues, man. There was one in Naif they used to play at. There's some in Dubai. So like, for me, I was like, I don't care. I had a pub next to my house, Fibber McGee's. I used to go down every day and have like, you know, like have a bevy and just watch a guy like jam acoustic, just to get like, just to like enjoy like the vibe, you know what I mean? POV was playing, I would go down and watch them. If you guys at the time, I didn't know you that well, but like whoever it is, man, I was always down to watch bands play. So like for me, it's kind of weird, like, you know, like even when we have these one-off shows, which are critical, like, because I don't fly in all the time. It was shocking that the people who claim to be the closest to you don't show up. But that was the reason. It was all about, you know, they would rather be at a party getting smashed.
But you know something, Nasser, the learning that comes out of it is you'll always have a shallow audience. And
Sure,
it's got nothing to do with you or your music. For example, I might have a friend who has a bunch of people along with him whose main purpose is to go and have a good time and drink. But he's trying to pull them to a gig where you're playing, but there's no alcohol. So it's justified that they don't want to go there. And, you know, but if he has to be really adamant about it and say that, no, I want to go and support my friend, he will probably come to your show and tell the rest of them and to move ahead to their party and say, I'll join you guys later. So the point is, people who really want to watch you will watch you for your music. People who want to be there because they're in your friend's circle and they just want to support you because they're your friends will eventually die out because they've never really enjoyed your music in the first place. They're only supporting you because they were your friends. So, you know, the point I'm trying to make is try to find people who like your music, who will come to your show, and not try to find people who will come to your show only because they're friends of friends. Because I remember that's how venues work. The venues in Dubai will always say, how many people can they bring? I mean, these people, you might feel good at that point. Oh, you know, I did a show and we had 200 people. But out of that 200, there might be only 30 people who actually are there because of your music. They're not there because they you know, the rest of them are there only because they want to drink and they want to party. So you would rather have those 20 people who really enjoy music in the front row rather than having those 100 people who are getting smashed somewhere at the end of the bar who don't even care about what you're playing.
I have to say that we've been blessed with, we have a nice group of people that come to our shows that love songs like Winter Burn. They dig certain things. I even do this audience thing participation with them where I make them sing one of the songs. I used to with one of the songs. So like, I'm totally with you on that, man. For me, it's
I love the synchronized hair flip of you and Vivian.
It's not synchronized. We never even
Dude,
planned
it is
By the way,
synchronized, man.
it's so weird. It's so weird. I watch videos of Viv and I play, and we do the same leg movements, the same head bobs, and I'm like, we don't even plan this shit. How does it happen? Like, it's
Dude,
so weird. I swear to God.
I was watching you guys.
You'll have to give me 2 minutes while you guys continue.
Yeah, sure.
No,
I mean, like,
it's not rehearsed 100%. At rehearsals, ask Viv. I'm one side of the room doing my thing. I don't know how live, like, we sort of just come together and it becomes like a synchronized.
So it's a good moment you guys can talk about Winterburn and what you guys are doing with the music.
Well, like the only thing is now, because Vivi, you were gonna say something, and then.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I was gonna talk about the show, and when we play, everything's like super amplified, you know, so you can hear the kick much better and like the bass much better, and so everything hits harder. So at that point, like it just comes naturally that you have to like do a flip or like, you know, something.
And you know, like this is where there's gonna be a crash, so you crash up, you know, like it's just. So for me, I moved to the beats of the drums, right? Like I moved to the hits, like to the crashes, to specific fills and sections. Yeah. And I guess Viv also does the same thing. So we don't really know, I don't even know what he's doing. But when I watch the videos later, I'm like, dude, that's kind of wild. You know, like we're kind of grooving at the same, we're kind of synchronized in a way. But what we're doing now is, because, I mean, the album finished a year ago, man. You know, we finished the record a year ago, mixed and mastered. I was in London exactly around this time. I think it was late August, mid-September. I was going through the mixes and the mastering and all of that, and then finalized everything. And then we did the artwork and all that. We were meant to release it in like, we were aiming for like March, April-ish, and then the coronavirus thing happened. So we said, okay, let's postpone a bit, see what's gonna happen. Because there's no point putting a record out and you're not gonna play behind it, you're not gonna do anything behind it. We wanted, a lot of money went into this record, man. It was recorded in Doha, in you know, the Bay Area in California, at a really expensive studios and costs and stuff. It has Thomas Pridgen on it. It was mixed and mastered in Europe. So, like, for us, it's like there's no point putting all that money behind a record. Nikhil, you know this, you know. Cruz, I mean, I think Cruz knows us better than all of us. There's no point putting money behind a record if you're not going to put it out and make a little bit of a bang.
Exactly.
So we said, let's just hold off releasing anything because
the days of putting records are gone. You got to only put singles out now.
Well, that's debatable.
If you're going to go with the times, if you want to go with the times, that is, and if you want to be relevant, this is what I suggest personally. This is a dilemma we've also had. I still am very old-fashioned. I would still prefer putting out an album, but at least for the time being, I feel it is more relevant to put out singles and get your audience engaged. And then maybe release your 12 singles later on as a compilation as one album.
So what we actually talked about, which is sort of close to that, is several of the songs on the album. So because the album, the songs now are different. Obviously, our style has evolved a lot as a band. The new material, there's a lot of more straight to the point music. They're shorter songs. There is like one long epic song on the album. But that's why I said to Viv, like, potentially there's like 6 or 7 singles on this album that could be released with different music videos, animated videos, lyric videos, all of that stuff. And that was where we were going. We had Ivory Towers, which was the lead single, and then we had Sooner Swing, which was going to be an animated video. There was, you know, Gypsy was going to be a different video. This was going to be that. One was going to be a live video. But again, because of all of this, the restrictions, not being able to do stuff, we put everything on hold. And what we did agree on, and we said, listen, if we're just going to sit around and do nothing, it's just going to be a waste of time. So what we started doing is we started writing the next record. And like right now, like there's about 6 or 7 songs that we're working on. Like I've started writing my riffs. I'm sending them back and forth to Vivian and our drummer, which I don't know if we should disclose who he is on the show, but what we're talking about is we're going to start writing the next album. And the whole premise of this is that by the time the pandemic is sort of lifted, we can start playing live again, and we can redo the tour that we were meant to do over the summer. So we were meant to do a support tour over the summer, or we were aiming to do a support tour. And I was in talks with a band abroad to do it. And it kind of fell through because of the pandemic, because everywhere, festivals, everything got canceled. So what I said to Vivian was like, okay, now let's just work on new material, so that when this pandemic is lifted, we put out our record now, put out the singles, all of that, play behind it, and then we have another set batch of music coming out not too long after. So we don't have these long gaps of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years between albums. It becomes a yearly process, which is what I'm a guy who writes a shitload of music, man. So I could release an album, I could release 2 records a year like Van Halen used to in the 70s, you know. But the problem is there's other people's scheduling that has to be taken into consideration. When making this previous record, Bami was going on tour several times. The drummer, Thomas, toured, I think 4 times, and he's doing stadium tours, so he can't cancel just to record a record. So, and then I had to fly to the States, and then he was back in this country, and you know, it's like a lot of scheduling.
The whole scheduling is a problem. So again, coming back to the main topic of the show, it's a good time to wrap up the show, and usually I do it in table for 4 sessions. Is that I would love to reach to a conclusion. So if you guys take turns, I will start with Naser and Viv. So
don't start with me. Start with Nikhil.
Okay, Nick. Whoever wants to go first.
The wise one, the older one.
The conclusion for me is that the music scene here, rock and metal, is one-sided. Are we on the same page, or are we like, you know, basically we have that mentality of, okay, if it's one-sided, we go ahead and we just do our thing, and we just be best at what are we doing?
I feel at this point there is no scene, like Vivian had said. Uh, there's nothing like a one-sided or a two-sided scene. There's just no scene. Uh, we need to just keep playing. We need to play more. We need to play a lot. We need to be proactive as musicians first. You need to go back to how you were when you were in college, dying to play a gig, regardless of who's organizing it, who's behind it, is there a brand involved or not, or what is my band's benefit in this from a branding perspective, blah blah blah, all that. Just forget everything. Go back to like you were in fetal position, and you're like, I want to play a gig. Show me where are the gigs. I will come and I'll play a gig. That's all that we need right now. Just play gigs. Uh, there are very few bands, so there's no scene. But yes, with whatever little is there, if everybody went to every gig, as long as it was affordable, because 180 dirhams is not affordable to me for a show.
I agree, 100%.
It's
But if there was
ridiculous,
a gig, but if there was a gig happening every week or even once in 2 weeks for 50 dirhams, I would definitely go. But keeping the current situation in mind, the COVID thing, and the fact that we have very few venues to work with, it is not going to be easy. So it's a tough road ahead. But having said that, if musicians somehow stay alive, stay awake, stay driven, and stay motivated, without bringing up excuses for every small thing, I think 1 year down the line, 2021 might be a good time for music, because people are dying to play now, as against 2019, where people were like extremely satisfied and sitting on their high horses saying, oh, I will choose what I want to play. So right now, that advantage is there. And I think it's a good chance for people to look back and mend their ways and go back to music for the reason why they got into music in the first place.
That's great. And who wants to go next? Viv, Naser?
I'll go next. So I think this whole year is it's a reset year. Okay, in all senses. Look, this whole thing is not gonna last forever. It will last for maybe a few months or maybe another year. But when things open up again and gigs start to happen again, it'll, I hope at least that it will be, things will be different this time around. And like Nick said, since people haven't played in so long, or people haven't gone to shows in so long, there's gonna be this itch, there's gonna be this fire. People, musicians will want to go up on stage and play. This is gonna create a lot of, I think it's gonna create a lot of more competition now. Because now every band is gonna be at the walls, trying to get the first gig, trying to get the next gig to, to play and put out the name, or then be the first guys to like take the next movement and stuff. And but to revisit the topic that we spoke about today as a conclusion, look, I think let's move on from all this stuff. If there's a clique that exists and they have been doing things a certain way for a certain time,
Good for them.
Good for them. Okay, they did whatever they could. They sat on their high horse, and now we can all see after this whole pandemic, no one is worth a penny. So let's move on now. Okay, let's be real. Let's be like, let's come back to reality and start things afresh. And there's no point in holding grudges. That goes for both sides. Okay, so let's be mature about this whole thing and this one. And personally, I'm excited to play gigs, man. Like I can't wait to go up on stage and do something. So Nick, you have my number.
So Naser, what is your input,
Yes.
man? What is your side of the conclusion?
Man, like the guys, that's why I said let Nick and Vivian speak first, because they pretty much said everything I would say. I mean, look, man, I'm 32. I've been doing this since I was 17. Backyard parties, literally DIY shit, man. Like American school backyard parties and nonsense like that. And like, man, like I'm too old for this nonsense, you know. So for me, I don't even care. This stuff is not even relevant to me. What's important is uh, just, I think overall as a music scene, let's just have a fresh start, clean slate. Let's start playing music. Let's get bands together. Let's try to like create a positive community, man. I really would love to see a night, not one night, but nights where the bands, like good local bands, not any band, man, obviously, like not shit bands. No offense, because everyone starts out somewhere, but but you know what I mean. Like the
Honestly,
good,
at this point, I would even go and see a shit band. I would
I
see
would say a shit
anybody.
band.
Yeah, I would see
But you know
anybody.
I mean, like good, solid, original bands. All of them, put them on one bill, create a nice package, throw a few shows out here and there, man, and just like have a good time. I remember they used to do these shows at like random warehouses in El Guz, you know, like even that's like, I miss that, man.
Yeah,
Like
Nick
just
Nick did a couple of these, man. The shelter gigs. Nick
The
did
the
it.
I can't
problem with
remember
the problem that has happened with these warehouse gigs is that
It's the
permits.
everything
permission.
is
Yeah, the permit.
permits. Everything is under permits now. So it's 750 dirhams per head. It's still a difficult task to do that. So the only way to do these gigs right now is to
To
find
do
a
them free.
loophole,
Yeah.
which is a karaoke license, which somebody pays for, like we do the jam nights, and find a venue which is ready to support you or strong enough to say that we will take the risk. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is going to a venue and saying, give us your venue on Saturday afternoon behind closed doors. We will shut everything, no alcohol, and we'll just have a great time. That's the
Yeah.
second way of doing it. The third way
You
of
rent
doing
it
it,
out basically. Yeah.
yeah, not even rent it out. Anybody will do it. They just serve soft drinks and food.
Yeah.
The third way of doing it is to find somebody who's really rich, who has
And
a
has a nice
massive
house.
and who has a
Local sponsor.
basement, who has a basement,
Oh,
and go and
shit.
do a gig at a basement. And the final way of doing it is to find a university.
Hey, listen, I know you guys are laughing, but in Bahrain, my friends told me, and my wife at the time was my fiance, they call me up, they're like, hey man, are you going to Farm Fest, man? Farm Fest. I'm like, what's Farm Fest? So we started driving literally in farmlands in the dark. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And we reach a farm, and at the gate, there's like these guys giving out tickets, right? Like they're selling
Wow.
tickets. Like, okay, we walked, dude, a full-on festival in someone's private farm, full-on stage and shit. I'm like, what?
But the thing is, even over here, if you want to do something in somebody's private farm, when
Yeah,
you put on something outside
that's a
in the
problem.
open, you have to take permits. So permits
Yeah.
is going to be your permanent problem in this country. It is not
Yeah.
going to go away.
It depends on who you
It's
know.
expensive, man. Yeah, it depends on who you know. But I mean, it is, and it's an expensive. It was a problem for our band at one point because certain promoters were actually telling our band to pay for the permits, and we're like,
No,
okay,
it's a lot of money. Trust me, it's a lot
Yeah,
of money
it
to
is.
pay. Means, and for the amount of money a promoter makes back, it is pittance to pay that kind of money. Because tomorrow, let's say if it just do the math, 750 dirhams per head,
4 people, yeah,
4 people in a
Minimum.
band. If you want
Plus
to,
the application
if the venue wants to make money on that night, they need at least 3 bands or 4 bands.
Yeah.
So that's 4 people into 750. So let's say 4 bands. You're talking about 20 people. You multiply
4
that
good
by
bands.
750. 750 multiplied by 20 people is your investment into a gig where your ticket is 50 dirhams. Do the math.
Guys,
You're only going to lose.
guys, it was a great session. I'm very. The thing is, like, no, we can go on, and as you know, even Vivian mentioned it like a couple of like, let's say half an hour ago, that
Vivian wants to sleep.
it's like one of these topics that, you know what, we're just like basically just, you know, talking about the same topic but different variations. You know, it's a very open topic. Anyone has, I mean, everyone has their own perspective, their own way of explaining it and shit like this. But, you know, I mean, anyway, the conclusion is that, you know, we need to do it by ourselves. If we want to create something, we need to all put effort into it, which I hope everyone wakes up in this scene and let's do it all together. But again, man, I want to take a moment and thank you guys for joining me for this session, man. It was a blast talking to you guys regarding this whole thing, and to know that there is like-minded people in this scene, which, you know, I'm very happy to know Nick, which, you know, he's a promoter and a musician, and Naser, who's like, you know, a local artist. But, you know, the thing is that there is
Local but not local.
yeah, local but not local, outsider, man. So it was great to have you guys on board. Thank you very much for joining me for this session.
Thanks, man.
Just for a
It was
last,
nice listening to you.
oh man, Viv. just before,
And Vivian,
yeah,
the third wheel.
yeah. Well, Viv, we just needed the third person for this session.
By
Sorry
the
to
way,
tell you.
by the way, before we end this, I really want to say this again, and I want to pitch this idea to Nick and to Naser. And we spoke about, me and Naser spoke about this before. We have to do a hard rock 3-band package and fucking tour the Middle East. We need to fucking do it.
I'm down, man.
Let's call it Hard
I'm
Rock
telling
Hell.
1 year, you got to wait for 1 year to
Yeah,
tour
after-
properly. We will do it. But I think,
After 1 year.
like I said, we might be putting up this gig in the next 4 weeks. If all that works out, then you can still have your wish, because we'll have AKB, we'll have POV, we'll have Winterburn. I think that should be enough, and maybe 1 or 2 acoustic artists to warm up the night. So
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I still have to check the restrictions. I have to do it tomorrow morning because I couldn't do it today. They have to speak to the guy tomorrow. But for me, if that's possible, that'd be great. And next year, if we do a tour, our bands, it would be awesome. I mean, you guys and Nicotine, man. I have to pull Neil out of his
Somehow.
office appliances business. and
I'm not a
drag him
nicotine.
up.
It's been like ages, man. It's like over 8 years. I'm not a.
You guys want a tour too?
Dude,
he's
we
not,
wanted
he's,
to.
he's
We
not
wanted
dirty
to.
anymore.
Oh,
He's
man.
clean now.
Yeah.
He's an amazing singer.
Thank-
Dirty.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for all the kind words, man. Just last word, where they can find you on social media. I mean, I already put your Instagram handles, where they can find your music and stuff. Nasser, you guys go under Winterburn. They can find you
Yeah,
on Spotify.
Winterburn's kind of like on hold right now, but I think we're gonna start posting new material, new videos, and new stuff.
But they can
of us,
find the
like, playing
album
it.
on a Spotify and like all the.
The albums, because all the previous albums are my solo albums. It's
Mm-hmm.
my name and surname at Naser Mestarihi on all my handles. But
Mm-hmm.
but the new one, I'm gonna start uploading it all on Winterburn's thing now too, anyways, because might as well.
Anyway, after we're off air, just give me the links. I'll put them in the caption. Nick, where they can find Point of View and your own stuff that you do.
Just I think Instagram is Nikhil Uzgare 73, and Facebook is Nikhil Uzgare 73. That's my year of birth, so I'm really old. Point
You
of
don't
view-
look it, dude.
That's
Yeah, you
okay.
look it.
When you're a musician who's dying to play all the time, you stay young.
You're young and
Yeah.
hard, bro.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what
young.
that's what Slash's famous quote is. It's guitarist is an eternal teenager or something.
Yeah, you're an eternal teenager. For point of view, obviously it's Point of View Dubai on Facebook and Point of View DXB Rock. So I think I'll keep it to that much.
That's good. I mean, anyway, I'm gonna be getting all the YouTube channels and all these links to the. I'll put them in the caption. And Vivian, you also Winterburn Portable Mine, and like
You can Winterburn, of course, and then you can find stuff for Portable Mind, another band I play for,
and your
and
EP.
my name as well, and for my solo EP, yeah, Vivian D'Souza.
His EP is fucking killer. Oh yeah, we
Yeah, it
said
is
that in the
killer.
last show.
A
Thanks,
great
should
bro.
listen
album.
to it.
You can find it on Spotify, Deezer. I'll never get paid for it, so. Or you can buy it on Bandcamp, where I get paid something, which is good.
By the way, Winterburn, it's all Winterburn official, but I'm gonna start uploading all the music, like all the previous records, all the good shit, like for free on our YouTube channel. So it's Winterburn official on YouTube.
You guys heard the mans themselves. Guys, again, thank you very much for joining me in for this session. It was a blast talking to you guys, and hopefully we catch up soon, have a coffee or whatever, beer or whatever, man, just to sit down and nag at each other the way we did right now.
Yeah, Naser can join on Zoom.
Last time I'm ever doing Zoom on a laptop, man.
It's so easy. Come on.
My
Anyway,
whole thing was like glitching, and I was like, oh man, I ought to like throw this laptop into a wall or something.
it's all good, man. It's all good. But at least you made it. And again, thank you guys for being here with us. And thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And whoever's still watching, thank you very much. Let them know about the page. Promote the page the way you want. Share this on your timeline. Let them know about the page, and let's get more traffic into the community. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care of yourself.
You got it, man. You got it.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care. Take care. Bye.